It's time for Avon Varsity Football on Audio Sports Online. Tonight's broadcast is brought to you by McDonald's, Reynolds Body Shop, McNamara Florist, and Red Cobra Wrestling. Avon Varsity Football is an AudioSportsOnline.com production. Now let's head out to the field for tonight's game.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Avon Oriole Football on Audio Sports Online. 1 week after the Avon Orioles bounce back after a tough loss at Brownsburg, the Orioles defeated Whiteland last week 38-12. They come home tonight. It is homecoming at Hendricks Regional Health Stadium as the Avon Orioles face what might be one of the biggest games all season long as they host the number 1 team in the Hoosier Crossroads Conference and the number 6 team in Class 6A in the state of Indiana, the Fishers Tigers. Once again, welcome to Oriole Football on ASO. My name is Brian Scott. I am joined by the Indiana Football Hall of Famer Dave Shelbourne tonight. Avon fresh off of that 38-12 victory last week, a very, very impressive win for the Avon Orioles, especially for quarterback Brandon Peters. Peters last week had a fantastic game, 13-24, 207 yards, threw for 2 touchdowns to Andrew Griffin, rushed for 2 more, and accounted for 4 of the 5 Oriole touchdowns in last week's contest. They also had a fantastic game from running back Darian Love. The junior ran for 214 yards on 36 carries. He scored 1 touchdown in last week's contest. And one of the big things that we saw the Orioles, Darian Love, do last week, and something that head coach Mark Bless told me this week was Darian Love's need to get yards after first contact. And Darian did a fantastic job against Whiteland, and he's going to have to do it again tonight against a very, very good Fishers team. Last week, the Oriole defense, they did a good job against a very, very strong rushing attack in the Whiteland Warriors. They run that fly sweep. Once again, that rush defense is going to be tested tonight as they are going to face one of the top running backs in Central Indiana in senior Maurice Campbell. I bring in the head coach, Dave Shelbourne. And, Coach, we watched Avon's defense last week do a great job against a very good running team in Whiteland. Whiteland liked to do that fly sweep, try to get around the edge. This week, the Oriole defense is going to be faced with a running back that pretty much just wants to come straight at you.
Well, he does, and there's, you watch him on film. He's truly an outstanding running back. He runs with speed, he runs with power, and like all great backs, he's got what I like to refer to as that second gear. He can kind of glide behind the blocking, and when that opening appears, he's got that little jet to get through it. But usually any great running back will tell you the reason for that success is because that offensive line is very good. They're a zone blocking team. They're not real complicated in what they do. They come off the ball, step in the direction of the play, and just try to knock some people off the ball and allow the running back to find the opening.
We'll talk more about tonight's game in just a moment. You're watching Oriole Football, the pregame show on ASO.
Stop in any Brownsburg or Avon McDonald's and try one of their two $2 tasty specials, the jalapeno burger or the triple cheeseburger. McDonald's is a proud supporter of Avon and Brownsburg athletics and is proud to host the McDonald's Hendricks County Sports Show, taped Wednesday nights on location and aired Friday nights before football on 1610 AM XRB and XRBradio.com. McDonald's has 2 locations in Brownsburg and Avon. In Brownsburg, they are located at the corner of Main and Odell next to Marsh and just off Green Street next to I-74. In Avon, you can find them at the corner of 267 and 36 next to Kroger or on Rockville Road next to Meyer. Stop in either Brownsburg or Avon McDonald's for their $2 tasty specials, the jalapeno burger or the triple cheeseburger today. Reynolds Body Shop is a proud sponsor of Avon Football Broadcast. They are conveniently located at 4325 West Washington Street in Indianapolis, just 4 stoplights east of 465. Their phone is 317-243-2372, and they are open Monday through Friday from 7:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Reynolds has been family-owned and operated for 30 years, specializing in collision repair. Reynolds Body Shop is also an insurance work specialist. Learn more about them on the web at www.reynoldsbodyshop.com.
Very fine rendition of our national anthem here at Hendricks Regional Health Stadium as we prepare for tonight's homecoming game between the 14th-ranked Avon Orioles and the 6th-ranked Fishers Tigers. You're watching the pregame show here on Audio Sports Online, along with the Indiana Football Hall of Famer Dave Shelbourne. I'm Brian Scott. We were talking a little bit about tonight's game, and of course, one of the keys for the Orioles defense will be stopping the very talented senior running back for the Fishers Tigers, Maurice Campbell. Campbell comes into this game averaging over 150 yards per game. He has not had a sub-100-yard effort yet this season, and coming into tonight's contest, he has scored 11 touchdowns as he is averaging almost 6 yards a carry. It'll be a tough matchup for this Oriole defense, but even more so has been the emergence of junior quarterback Zach Eaton for the Tigers. Eaton comes into this contest. He's only thrown for 784 yards. He's got a couple of picks and 7 touchdowns. But the Tigers rode Campbell hard and heavy earlier in the season. Wins against North Central, Noblesville, and a loss to Pike was more of head coach Rick Wimmer using the running game almost exclusively. Then came the game against their rival Hamilton Southeastern. Zach Eaton came into his own, and in the past 2 games with Eaton now slinging the football, that potent running attack, the Tigers have put average 42 points in the past couple of games. They put 49 points on a Brownsburg Bulldog team that the Orioles are all too familiar with just 2 weeks ago. That game was close midway at the half, 21-14 in favor of Fishers. But then the Tigers put 28 unanswered points on the scoreboard in that second half. So it'll be a big night for the Oriole defense. They're going to have to contain Maurice Campbell. And, Coach, we always talk about teams, when you talk about offensive teams, that you run the football, you want to run the football. But every time you run the football, once you get that passing game going, now you've just opened up a whole slew of your playbook.
Well, Coach Wimmer's philosophy has always been to establish the run. They're one of the better play-action teams in the state. They'll run behind, or they'll fake behind that running play off tackle, the outside zone play. They also run a great deal of counter plays where they'll come off that and come out to the backside. So, you know, they try to get you to overreact to the run, and then they'll come back and, you know, run a little counter action where they hit the tight end coming back across the other way. One of the things that I think Coach Wimmer's teams have always done very well is they don't beat themselves. They're just very consistent. They're very patient on offense. You know, they'll run, if you run 50 to 60 plays a game, 50 of them might just be, you know, I guess what you would consider normal yardage type plays, you know, 0 to 8 yards, but they're going to have 3 or 4 big ones a game, and I really think that's the thing that the Avon defense has to guard against. They've played very well. You mentioned that they played extremely well against the run last week at Whiteland, but I think the thing they're have to guard against tonight is not to allow that, you know, 40, 50, 60-yard either running play or passing play and have that break their back after defending them, you know, for the rest of the time against the run.
One of the things the Tigers team, when you look at this matchup tonight, it's the typical, if you played this game on paper, this should be a very, very close game. Both teams coming in averaging about 176 yards per game on the ground. The Orioles, a little bit better through the air. You might expect that with Brandon Peters at quarterback. They're averaging 200 yards per game through the air. It's been the Tigers' defense that has been very strong this season. They're giving up just a little over 16 points per game, and the 14 points against Brownsburg is the most they've given up in 3 weeks. So they have been a very, very strong defensive team, as well as now their offense kicking in. For the Avon Orioles, well, Brandon Peters, we were looking at the stats before the game. With last week's contest, he has now reached 1,000 yards, and he did that in only 5 games. For Brandon, he has got 1,000 yards on 79 for 138. He has 8 touchdowns and only 3 interceptions this season, and 2 of those interceptions were again in the Brownsburg game. We mentioned Darian Love. He had a big game last week, and they are really going to look for him to continue that this week. Darian on the season, 540 yards, 4 touchdowns. He will be the starting tailback once again tonight. For the Oriole offense, we've seen a lot of Andrew Griffin. He has done a fantastic job. We've seen Matt Moore. But one of the things I talked to Mark Bless about earlier this week has been the emergence and the continued exceptional play of Braden Luce.
he's a tough kid. In fact, from what I heard a little bit during the week this week, he's a tough enough kid that they've actually moved him over a little bit to the defensive side. He's a big hitter. I think they're going to, from what I understand, possibly get him in on running situations and goal line short yardage type situations. You know, he's one of those kids that brings it every play. He's not only does he have a little toughness to him, but he's a very consistent player, and that you get the best out of him on every single play.
The Orioles also, once again, it's a different lineup defensively. We will see Joe Belden take the nose guard position, moving over from end. Gunnar Larson will take over as a defensive end. And Rashawn Brent, who last week against Whiteland was lined up as a backer, this week he's back down on the defensive line. As Coach Mark Bless, he's been having to do this week in and week out. The offensive lineup, well, that's been pretty consistent almost all season long, with maybe the exception of running back between Derek Tennant and Darian Love. But week in and week out, Coach Bless has had to make these defensive changes, partly due to some injuries and partly due to matchups. Again, this week we will see A.J. Elcock start at outside linebacker as Rashawn Brent goes back to defensive line.
Well, you know, I think any coach is going to do it. You're trying to put your best 11 hitters and runners out there on the field, and I think that's what he's done. You know, the defense has been pretty consistent in what they've done all year. I think the kids understand the philosophy of what they're trying to do. Avon plays a very aggressive style. They're in that 3-5 type of look, and they're going to bring some linebackers and try to get after you and try to make some things happen with their defense. And, you know, when you've got a player like Joe Belden on the nose, you know, he's a big-time player. He's headed for IU, and the reason is he does make big plays, and he plays with a lot of emotion. So it'll be an interesting contrast in styles. Avon is a little bit more of a blitzing, aggressive defensive style, whereas Fishers is going to come out and play their 4-3 and play hard, but they're going to line up. You're going to know where they're at. You just have to block them and stay after them, and they're going to fight like crazy to, you know, try not to give up the big play. So it will be interesting to see how the game progresses.
One of the defensive players that I talked to Coach Mark Bless about this week, Coach Bless admitted he has really stepped up his game over the past few weeks and has really done a fantastic job defensively, has been Nick Handlin. He had a big game against Whiteland. As Coach and I mentioned during the Whiteland game, he's a big hitter, and he always tends to be around the football. But Coach Bless was really impressed at how well Nick has been playing and continuing to progress as the season has gone along.
Well, you know, Nick's another one of those kids, a little bit like Joe, and then he plays with a lot of emotion. I remember last year he blocked the punt in the game and picked it up and ran it in for a touchdown when he makes a big play. You know, he gets excited, and, you know, defensively it's nice to have those kind of players. And, you know, Nick has always given a lot of effort. He's getting a little bit more of a chance to play this year and show his skills on the field, and he's been a very good contributor to the defense all year. I do want to give a little shout-out here before the game, too. Matt Thompson. Matt's a 2-year starter. Matt's just one of those steady Eddie kind of kids. Never out of position, plays hard, runs well, hits well, and, you know, they've had a lot of injuries out there defensively. Matt's the only linebacker, I believe, that's lined up and played his original spot in every game the entire year. And I know he's not as emotional or loud, or, you know, he doesn't jump up and down and get the crowd into the game. Matt's just one of those kids that, you know, plays his heart out every play. And, you know, I think the thing that the coaches and the other players know is that he's going to bring it every single play, and he's got the speed to run anybody down.
A little bit about tonight's game. Of course, this is the 9th meeting between these two schools, and the Tigers have a 5-3 record coming into tonight's game. The Tigers, well, they're ranked 6th in Class 6A. They are 4-1 overall, but an undefeated 3-0 in the HCC. They sit atop as the lone undefeated team in the Hoosier Crossroads Conference play. The Orioles, they are ranked 14th this week after their win last week against Whiteland, 3-2 overall, 1-1 in HCC play. As we mentioned, the Tigers defeated Brownsburg 49-14 last week, while the Orioles defeated Whiteland 38-12. The head coach of the Tigers is Rick Wimmer, 67-32 in his 9th year at the helm of the Tigers, 231 and 115 in his 32nd year overall. And the head coach of the Orioles, Mark Bless, 35-17 in his 5th year at Avon, and a record of 184 and 84 in 25 years of head coaching. The Tigers will receive the opening kickoff as the Orioles get ready to kick this
I'm
one
doing
away.
Great. How you doing?
It will be kicking the ball off. Sam Perino will get the kickoff duties here to begin the contest, and back deep is R.J. Potts and Roberto Rodriguez for the Tigers. So sit back. Hope you enjoy tonight's game of Avon Oriole football on Audio Sports Online. Perino puts a foot into it, and he will kick it deep, and that one will bounce into the end zone for a touchback, and the Tigers will start this drive 1st and 10 from their own 20-yard line. Bringing them out will be the junior quarterback, a 6'1", 192-pound junior Zach Eaton. Across the offensive line is Lucas Skudrick, Titus Martin, Matt Halfley, Gavin LaFoon, and Chase Bowser. The tight end is Gino Castellani. The wideouts are Evan Long and Noah Rogers. The fullback, Mason Davis. The tailback is Maurice Campbell. The Tigers will give you a whole lot of different looks, and they're going to go with a single back look to begin this contest as they start this drive 1st and 10 from the 20. Two wideouts, double tight end. As Eaton will give play action, throws it out to the near side and in and out of the hands of Joey Shimon. Nice little bit of misdirection, had everybody going to the left. Shimon leaks out to the near side, but he can't bring in the pass, and it's incomplete.
Well, that's a trademark of Coach Wimmer. I mean, he's going to keep you honest. You usually don't see that on the first play of the game, but I think, his style is established. They're a power outside zone running team, and they just came out and tried to run a counter off of it and had to play, but missed.
So that'll bring up 2nd down and 10 as the ball is to Campbell. Campbell comes up to the near side, and actually that was, Zach Eaton with the carry as he is pushed out of bounds.
Yeah, looks like, I mentioned Braden Luce might play safety. Braden Luce is actually starting at safety. He made the tackle on the last play after the good scramble by the quarterback for a big gain and a 1st down.
So it's 1st and 10 for the Fishers Tigers as we have motion on the near side as the Tigers were shifting. And it'll be offsides called against Avon. So give them a free 5 yards on that play. And it'll be 1st down and 5. Here's a give to Campbell. He'll take it right up the middle, and he's going to be met and dropped for little to no gain on that play.
Yeah, looks like Elcock in on the tackle with Matt Thompson.
Elcock here for the Orioles. No gain on the play, 2nd down.
So that'll bring up 2nd down.
Because of the running game, it looks like Avon's playing a few more people up in there. They want to take away the running game, especially early here in the game.
On this 2nd and 5, here's Campbell. He breaks it through, and he needed 5. He picked up 6, and we'll have a 1st down for the Tigers. So move the ball up to the 45-yard line. It'll be 1st and 10 for Fishers. As we are in the first drive of this contest, as we go under 11 minutes in this first quarter, opening drive of the football game.
That's the running back.
Jermaine Huddleston is now in as they throw out to the near side. Pass is complete. They got Cade Orris over here on the near side as he goes out of bounds for a pickup of about 15 yards into Oriole territory down to the 45-yard line. So the Tigers in Oriole territory for the first time tonight.
Kind of an early game chess match going on here right now. It looks like Avon's trying to take away the run. Coach Wimmer sees that a little bit, and he's coming back and countered with some play action passes to try to loosen them up a little bit.
So on this 1st and 10 from the 45, coming to the near side with the football is once again Jermaine Huddleston. So it is not Maurice Campbell that is in at this time. It is Jermaine Huddleston that is carrying the football for the Fishers Tigers.
Well, you know, it's a little slow and steady, and they're in the process of putting together a nice drive here. They're still 36 yards away from scoring, but in the early going here, it looks like Fishers' offensive line is controlling things up front.
And there's a give by a keeper by Eaton. He needed a yard, picked up about 4 as he buries it down inside the 35 and down to the 32-yard line, where it will be 1st and 10 for the Tigers. So 1st and 10 as the Tigers have the ball at the 32-yard line as Eaton will work out of the gun. Orioles shift defensively. They'll have 3 wideouts to the left as Eaton will on the give. This is Huddleston, I believe, once again. So it's Jermaine Huddleston getting the carries here to start this football game. He'll pick up about 4 yards inside the 30 and down to the 28-yard line.
Fishers right now, you mentioned, you know, the multiple formations, but they're really just running a couple of basic running plays. They're trying to get a feel for how Avon is going to line up against all of these different formations, but right now they're just running some pretty basic inside running plays.
Play action pass, Eaton. He fires over to the left side. Pass is complete. Down inside the 10, close to the 5-yard line over on the far sideline as Mason Davis with the leaked out of the backfield, and simply Zach Eaton hit him to take it down inside the 10 where the Tigers will have it 1st and goal.
Yeah, that's usually a scouting report thing. They saw something on film when they were looking at Avon and probably realized in that formation, you know, with the little play action fake that they might be able to get him open because they were looking for him all the way.
So 1st and goal for the Tigers. The ball spotted at about the 7-yard line as the Tigers shift. They'll go tight end left. The give is to Huddleston. He'll go right up the middle. He'll be met and driven back. Bryant Fitzgerald in there on a tackle to help push Huddleston back. No gain on the play. It'll bring up 2nd and goal.
Yeah, better push that time by the Avon defensive line. They got some penetration. You could see 2 or 3 black shirts in the backfield. It was just kind of an inside zone running play that in the past Fishers has controlled things up front. That time Avon was able to get into the backfield and, cause them to lose some yardage.
So they bring up 2nd and goal, this time from the 8. They'll say he moved back a yard. Tigers go jumbo. Play action pass. Eaton rolls to the near side, looking. Good coverage downfield, and he'll just throw this one away. As coming with the pressure was A.J. Elcock, but great job by the Oriole defenders as all the Tigers receivers were covered up in the end zone.
They did do a great job. It's somebody who's got contain out there who's got to get up in his face a little bit. He had an awful long time to try to find a receiver. Fortunately, the linebackers and DBs for Avon, were on their guys like glue because he had all day to throw the football.
So that's going to bring up 3rd and goal as the ball remains at the 8-yard line as Eaton will work out of the gun.
Avon's in man. I wouldn't be surprised to see a fade route.
Eaton drops back. He looks. Pressure comes, and Eaton sacked and lost the ball.
And there's a fumble.
The ball is still loose. It will be falling back all the way back at the 33. Let's see who came with it. They'll say the Tigers recovered it. But what was 3rd and goal at the 8 is now going to be 4th and goal, but the ball will be placed all the way back near the 33-yard line, and that's going to make things very interesting for head coach Rick Wimmer.
What a great play by the Avon defense. I was just told it was Joe Bell then, and you expect those kind of plays out of a potential Big Ten player like Joe, and he made a huge play because it looked like Fishers was knocking on the door, and if nothing else was going to come up with at least 3 points, and now more than likely they're out of field goal range here. They've got 4th and
Well, it'll be fourth and goal from the 32.
Fourth and 32, so they're probably going to have to heave it up and take a chance on a pass interference. Or
Eaton will drop back to pass. He'll fire it, and it'll be well incomplete. He was looking down the middle of the field for Simeon Foster. He was well covered by Gabe Laxtons, and I believe Braden Luce was also there in coverage. Great job by the Oriole defenders, and the Tigers, who looked like they were going to have it in excellent position, first and goal at the Orioles 7, end up turning it over on downs, and it is Avon's chance to take the football, still with no score and 7:07 left to go in this first quarter of play.
Well, Avon did what I talked about earlier. I mean, they bent a little bit. They gave up some first downs. If you're sitting in the stands, you're thinking, gee, they're playing a little bit soft, but they came up with the big play when they had to, and they kept them off the board.
So Brandon Peters brings the offense onto the field. First and 10 from the Oriole 32-yard line. Peters works out of the gun, steps up in the pocket. Now he'll run with it, and he's going to pick up some nice yards before he's finally met and brought down by Luke Harbison.
See, again, that's one of those plays that most people don't notice. That was, I mean, the offensive blocking wasn't bad, but when it did break down and Brandon realized nobody was open, he made 7 yards out of, what should have been a sack just with his athletic ability. And I think one of the bigger differences between Brandon this year and last year is the fact that he's making those good, quick decisions that, keep his team alive.
2nd and 4 from the Oriole 38-yard line, 6:27 left to go, opening quarter. Peters out of the gun, hand off to Darian Love, and not a whole lot there. As good penetration by the Tigers defense. Joe Wilcox, the defensive end, among those in there to make the stop. For the Orioles offensively, the offensive line, Nick Shoemaker, Zach Ryan, Brady Nyland, Nazo Nalbandian, and Ryan Dickinson. The tight end is Matt Moore. The wideouts are Andrew Griffin and Braden Luce. Fullback Zach Batustik is back in. Darian Love is the tailback, and Brandon Peters is the quarterback. And a big 3rd down and 3 for the Orioles on their first possession of the first half. Peters keeps it on the fake, makes one man miss, and he's got Brandon still running at the 50 to the 40, 35-30. He's running down the sideline, makes a cut, and he'll finally be pulled from behind. The ball was stripped, but not before Brandon Peters takes it all the way down inside the 10. They'll spot him at the Fishers 5-yard line.
Well, it's unintentional, but Brandon just made me look like a genius because that play was supposed to be a counter play off the run fake, and they weren't fooled. The linebacker was sitting there. That should have been a tackle for no gain if nothing else. Not only did he make that defender miss, he made a couple others miss and turned this long run in here to a potential, touchdown situation.
The give is to Darian Love. He looks for some room and nothing doing as he is met and stacked up right there. I believe once again Joe Wilcox made the tackle. For the Tigers, they run a 4-3 across the defensive front. Joe Wilcox, Stephen Carey, Trevin Rund, and Sean Taylor. The linebackers are Nick Farrell, Trent Nielsen, and Luke Harbison. The corners are Kevin Tribble and Josh Lloyd. Michael Kinder and R.J. Potts are the safeties. 2nd down and goal. Ball remains at about, they'll move it back a yard to the 5-yard line as Peters works out of the gun. Love to his left. 3 wideouts, 2 to the right. Brandon back to pass, fires over the middle, wide open, Andrew Griffin for the touchdown. We've seen this time and time again, Coach, over the past few weeks. Just a little slight slant route by Andrew Griffin, and he's right there for an easy catch and a touchdown for the Orioles.
They have a knack and a little feel, As been mentioned, they've been doing this all the way back to their youth league days. Fishers was coming that time with a few times they blitz. If they leave man-to-man coverage on Andrew Griffin, and I know part of the plan this week is to isolate him on the backside and let him go man for man, then he could have a big night for Avon tonight.
Sam Perino puts it through, and with 4:54 left to go in this opening quarter, the Orioles lead the Tigers 7-0. Back with a kickoff in a moment. This is Oriole football on ASO.
McNamara Florist is Indy's hometown florist since 1954, with 8 convenient locations, including the new Avon store on Rockville Road. McNamara Florist is famous for our floral designs for all occasions that help our clients express their emotions through flowers. Visit McNamara Florist for outstanding personal service and to select from the renowned home decor merchandising, including stunning Christmas classics. McNamara Florist is located at 9655 East Highway 36 in Avon, and you can give them a call at 579-7900.
The Orioles go 68 yards in 2 minutes and 53 seconds. Andrew Griffin is on the receiving end of a 5-yard touchdown pass from Brandon Peters. And the Orioles lead the 6th-ranked Tigers by the score of 7-0 with 4:54 left to go in this first quarter of play. Sam Perino set to kick this one away, and he will kick it high, and it'll be taken in the end zone, and that will be a touchback. So the Tigers moved the ball well. They had it all the way down first and goal at the Orioles' 7-yard line on the last drive, but Avon's defense tightens up, and then Zach Eaton is stripped and fumbled, and that forced the Tigers to be in a 4th and goal from the Oriole 32, and a little too long for a field goal. They elect to go for it and turn it over on downs, and a long Brandon Peters scamper lead to the first points of this game as Zach Eaton and the Tiger offense is back out on the field.
Well, it's early, but right now Avon's made the 2 big plays. They made the big play on defense with 3rd down, and Brandon Peters' run set up the touchdown. So right now we're winning the big play contest.
Eaton will give it now. Maurice Campbell is in, so he will, not sure if maybe there was a discipline issue or whatever, but they left Campbell out that first series. In the first play of the second series, he is back out there, and he picks up about 4 yards, call it 5 yards to the Tiger 25-yard line.
Yeah, the one thing that does need to change right now, Fisher's offensive line appears on most plays to have the better of the Avon defensive line, and on the other side of things, Fisher's defensive line was, for the most part, handling the Avon offensive line on that first series.
Here is Campbell once again, and he will pick up a couple of yards up to about the 27-yard line, where it will be 3rd down and 3. And here's a big down for the Avon Oriole defense as Joe Belden is trying to extort the crowd to make a little bit of noise here on a big 3rd down and 3. Orioles would love to get the Tigers off the field on a quick 3-and-out after the touchdown. Eaton gives it to Campbell. Campbell pushes, but the Orioles are going to stack him up. But if that spot on the far side is any indication, Campbell's going to have it by the nose of the football.
Wow. Well, they're a little closer to the action than we are, because from here it didn't look like he made it, but evidently he did. I see Zach Williams down there. Zach's been a starting linebacker, I believe, for 3 years. Hurt his knee. He's out for the season, but he's a great teammate. He's a great team leader, and I see him down there cheering on his guys and doing a little coaching when they come off the field.
So 1st and 10 for the Tigers right at the 30-yard line. Eaton back to pass, and it's knocked down. I believe Rashawn Brent had a big old hand in there. Rashawn playing defensive end this week after playing linebacker last week, and he knocks it down, knocks the pass down from Zach Eaton.
Yeah, Rashawn is another one of those kids. Maybe doesn't get the notoriety of some of the other kids, but I know the coaches love him. He plays hard. He can, he's shown he can play multiple positions, and you can just always count on him to give everything he's got on every play.
We'll give you the Oriole defense after this play on this 2nd down and 10 for the Tigers. This time Eaton will go under center. The give is to Campbell. He'll look for some room on the left side. He will find some room, and he is going to be wrapped up and brought down. Matt Thompson was able to get a hand on him, but not before Campbell's able to pick up the 1st down. For the Orioles, across the defensive front, Gunnar Larson gets to start at one defensive end. Joe Belden is the nose guard. Rashawn Brent the other end. The linebackers are Matt Thompson, Thomas Williams. A.J. Elcock gets the start. We'll also see Griffin Blanc as a linebacker, rover back. The corners are Drew Shayatovich and Gabe Laxtons, and the safeties Nick Hamblin and Bryant Fitzgerald. 1st and 10, Tigers from their own 41-yard line. 2:53 left to go first quarter, 7-0. The Orioles lead the Tigers. Eaton works out of the pistol, He'll give to Campbell. Campbell looks for some room, and he'll take it right and busts through. Spins out of one tackle, the 50 to the 40, and finally ridden down inside the 35-yard line. It's Huddleston that is actually the ball carrier as he got in there, made a nice move, spun out of a tackle, and he'll run the ball all the way down into Oriole territory to the 35-yard line.
And again, very nice run, very nice play for Fishers, but they're still 35 yards away from scoring. And I know I always think like a head coach, but you know, you can give up some first downs, and it was a long gainer, but they're still 35 yards away from getting in the end zone.
Eaton, again, out of the gun, 2 wide outs to the near side of the field. He will spin and fires it. Pass is complete on a quick hit, and making a nice eludes one Oriole and taking it down the field is Simeon Foster, a big kid at 6'3", 210 pounds, and he just rumbles all the way down to the 13-yard line.
Yeah, he ran right over the Avon defensive back that time. Just a little slant pass. Avon's playing back a little bit. They tried to run that earlier, and Rashawn knocked it down that time. They had a good throwing lane, got him the ball, and he made a nice run.
Campbell back in as tailback as Eaton will bend under center. 2 wide outs, split left and right. Here is Campbell. Looks for some room around the left side, and he's going to run it in from 13 yards out and just simply outran the Oriole defenders around that left corner, and he runs it in for the touchdown.
Well, I mentioned that earlier. You know, one of the things that Avon's going to have to get adjusted here pretty quickly is that corner. You should always have a player assigned to contain, which means he's got to get upfield a little bit further than a running back and make sure that if he does get to the outside, he turns it back in where all the defenders are. And that time he got to the outside and just outran everybody.
On for the point after is Anthony Beck. He puts it through, and with 1:53 left to go in this first quarter, we're tied at 7. Back with a kickoff in a moment. This is Oriole football on ASO.
Avon has a rich wrestling tradition, and now Red Cobra Wrestling is proud to be a part of it. Opening last November, Red Cobra Wrestling offers training sessions run by nationally known coach Chad Redd. Red Cobra Wrestling is located at 9233 East Highway 36 in Avon, across the street from Walmart and behind sidelines in the Red Brick Building. Red Cobra Wrestling offers sessions for all ages, including 3rd grade and under and 4th grade and up. Learn more about prices, class schedules, and information at RedCobraWrestlingAcademy.com.
Tigers go 80 yards in 3 minutes and 1 second, 7 plays, and Maurice Campbell runs it in from 13 yards out. We are tied at 7 as the Tigers get ready to kick this football away. Back deep for the Orioles will be Ian Pendleton and Bryant Fitzgerald. That is not Pendleton and Fitzgerald. We'll try to get that for you in just a second. Pendleton is back deep as a single safety, and he's going to take it in the end zone, and that means that the Orioles are going to take it out. Didn't see Ian sitting back about a yard already back in the end zone, but they'll take the kick, and the Orioles will have it 1st and 10 from their own 20 in a 7-7 game with 1:53 left to go in this first quarter. Orioles scored on their first drive, but a lot of that was on the legs of Brandon Peters. He scampered for about 45 yards. That set up the 5-yard touchdown pass from Peters to Andrew Griffin. That set up the first score of this game. The Orioles will start this drive with 3 wideouts to the far side, and Peters out of the gun. And a mistake there as Brandon will go down. Peters was looking for Darian Love to come to his right. Dove went to the left. There was nobody there, and Peters just simply ends up having to eat it for about a 3-yard loss.
Yeah, and that's the thing that a defense like Fishers counts on. You know, they're as I mentioned earlier, they're a little bit of a bend it but not break. They're going to try and keep you under 4 yards every play. When the offense makes a little bit of a mental error like Avon did on that first play, now they're behind schedule. Instead of being 2nd and 5 or 6 where you want to be if you're calling plays, they're 2nd and 13, and now, you know, this means they're probably going to have to put the ball up.
Cole Rightly is to the near side with Braden Luce working the slot left. Peters back to pass. Looking for Andrew Griffin, lays it up, and it's intercepted. Josh Lloyd, who is in for Jeremy Chin, who is unable to play tonight for the Tigers, he gets the pick. A 6'1", 185-pound senior corner. Brandon tried to lay that one up, And just a nice play by the corner. He went up and got it. And in the turnover, the first of the game belongs to the Tigers. They'll have it 1st and 10 from their own 46.
Yeah, I mean, it was covered very well. I mean, Andrew can flat out run, and he ran with him all the way. And, again, that's one of those confidence throws because he's so confident that Andrew can come away with the ball, all things being equal. And, unfortunately, the Fishers DB made a great play.
So Eaton in the offense for the Tigers back out onto the field, and the first give is to Huddleston. He spins at the 50, down inside the 45 to the 40, as we're seeing a bit of a dual backs set up here for the Tigers. They've run Campbell hard and heavy, but tonight Jermaine Huddleston getting quite a few carries here, and he makes a nice run down to the Oriole 39.
Yeah, the concern right now, I think, for the Avon defensive coaches is right now the Fishers offensive line seems to be controlling things, and they're going to have to make something happen here.
Huddleston just takes it right up the middle, and Huddleston will take it inside the 35 and down to about the 32-yard line as the clock winds down in this first quarter. 30 seconds left, and they may not have to run another play. They will not have to if Coach Rick Wimmer elects to sit on this, as there's about as the play clock is about 2 seconds greater than the game clock, so the clock winds down. Actually, they've stopped the play clock. We'll see if Eaton will even snap the ball, and he will with 3 seconds left. Here is Campbell, looks for some room, eludes one tackle, eludes another, and finally Rashawn Brent is able to muscle him down from behind inside the 20 down to the 19, and that will be the final play of this first quarter. 1 quarter in the books here at Hendricks Regional Health Stadium. We're tied at 7. Back with second quarter action in just a moment. This is Oriole Football on Audio Sports Online.
Stop in any Brownsburg or Avon McDonald's and try one of their two $2 tasty specials, the jalapeno burger or the triple cheeseburger. McDonald's is a proud supporter of Avon and Brownsburg athletics and is proud to host the McDonald's Hendricks County Sports Show, taped Wednesday nights on location and aired Friday nights before football on 1610 AM XRB and XRBradio.com. McDonald's has 2 locations in Brownsburg and Avon. In Brownsburg, they are located at the corner of Main and Odell next to Marsh and just off Green Street next to I-74. In Avon, you can find them at the corner of 267 and 36 next to Kroger or on Rockville Road next to Meyer. Stop in either Brownsburg or Avon McDonald's for their $2 tasty specials, the jalapeno burger or the triple cheeseburger today.
Welcome back to Hendricks Regional Health Stadium. Alongside Dave Shelbourne, I'm Brian Scott. A 7-7 game as we head to the second quarter. The Tigers have it first and 10 from the Oriole 19-yard line as Eaton will give to Campbell. He'll break one tackle. He will break another, makes a nifty move, and 19 yards later, Maurice Campbell on a fine run. He finds pay dirt, and the Tigers take their first lead of the contest.
Well, right now, again, I've mentioned before, Avon's just getting handled up front. He's too good a running back, and when the linebacker did get to the point of attack, he ran right through the tackle. He's a quality back, but I would say a lot of his success right now should go to their offensive line.
Anthony back on for the point after, and that kick is up, and the kick is good. And with 11:53 left to go in this first half, the Tigers take their first lead of the contest. They lead the Orioles 14-7. And Maurice Campbell, and we got to give Jermaine Huddleston a lot of credit as well for the Tigers. He's come in, he had that first series, and the Tigers moved the ball well on the Orioles. The Orioles came up big on that first drive as the Tigers got it first and goal. But everybody knows how good of a running back Maurice Campbell is. The 5'8", 185-pound junior Jermaine Huddleston for the Tigers, he's showing that he's got some skills as well.
Well, they've established what they want to do. I mean, again, nothing fancy. It's inside-outside zone. It's straight blocking. There's no trapping. There's no pulling. There's no real even misdirection. You know, they're just teeing it up right now, and their attitude is we're better than you are up front. At least the last couple of series here, that's exactly what they've done. The other thing that's going to do is set up their play-action passing. When they're running as well as they are, you're gonna have to be real careful how you handle the play-action pass.
Josh Lloyd kicks this one deep as it is fielded by Ian Pendleton, and he will take it up to about the 20-yard line, and the Orioles offense back out onto the field. That last score by the Tigers, of course, set up by Josh Lloyd's interception of Brandon Peters. It's Brandon's only his 4th interception of the season, but it's a big one as it cost the Orioles a touchdown. And Avon will have the ball 1st and 10 from their own 22-yard line, as they'll say that is where Pendleton stepped out of bounds, and they'll have it there with 11:48 left to go first half. Brandon Peters out of the gun. The give is to Derek Tennant. As Derek gets the run, he'll take it up past the 25, close to the 26. Derek's been fighting some nagging injuries for the past few weeks. We didn't see him at all in the Whiteland game, and this is his first carry here tonight.
Well, I know Derek has been out long enough that he's hungry to get back in there, and Derek brings a little bit of an attitude, a little bit of toughness to the offensive huddle, and right now I think that, that's what they need.
So Tennant is to the right of Peters, working out of the gun. Brandon takes the snap, has to bring it down, rolls to the near side, fires, has Andrew Griffin at the 40, to the 45-50, 45-40, and he'll be knocked out of bounds on the near side on a nice find. Michael Kinder, the free safety, finally was able to push Andrew Griffin out of bounds, but not before Andrew took it deep into Fisher's territory all the way down to the 37-yard line.
I'll tell you, if there was a stat for making defensive linemen miss a quarterback when they had an opportunity for a sack, I think Brandon Peters would be leading the nation. He just has a knack for avoiding the rush. I don't know if he's got eyes in the back of his head or not, but he made that play, and Andrew kept alive for the big catch.
Rightly and Griffin to the near side, loose to the far side. Tennant the lone tailback, and Derek will get the carry. He will make a little sidestep and plunge forward for about 3 yards inside the 35 down to the 34-yard line. A pickup of 3, 2nd down and 7 for Avon. Clock will be moving. 10:46 left to go in this first half. The Tigers, ranked 6th in the state in Class 6A, lead the 14th-ranked Orioles 14-7.
Yeah, I see Gabe Laxkins is in. He just spot plays a little bit on offense. He's usually a big play type guy, so we'll see if they try to go deep with him.
They'll go a 4-wide look with 3 to the left. Tennant remains alone back. Peters out of the gun. Play action pass. They fire. They get Andrew Griffin. Griffin eludes one tackle, and he will finally be brought down to about the 22-yard line. Kevin Tribble made the tackle, I believe, for the Tigers. And a nice little pitch and catch there from Peters to Griffin, and that'll net the Orioles a first down.
Well-designed play. I don't know if that's Coach Bless or Coach Eric Moore, the offensive coordinator. But I mentioned Laxkins. He's been the big play guy. They ran him right up the field. They ran, I believe, Matt Moore right up the field, and then they brought Andrew Griffin in kind of an underneath route. They let everybody drop and brought him back underneath, and he was wide open.
Rightly and Griffin to the near side, loose to the far side. Peters take the snap on 1st and 10. He will look, now pump fake, and he's got some room to run on the left side. Down to the 20, to the 15, to the 10, and he'll finally be pushed out of bounds on that far side. It's coming to make the play, I believe, was Brendan Tungate, the Mike linebacker. He was finally able to get Peters, but not before Brandon has taken the ball all the way down to the Tiger 8-yard line, where the Orioles will have it 1st and goal.
Well, I think one of the adjustments both coaching staffs will try to make at halftime is to make sure whoever's got contained keeps contained, because both teams have been hurt by, outside running plays, either the outside zone for Fishers or Brandon Peters, getting to the outside because they've made big plays because they've lost contain.
Orioles have a mismatch, but unfortunately a penalty. They had Gabe Laxton's over on the far side. Laxton's comes in at 6'4", 190. He was covered by 5'9", 168-pound Michael Kinder. They had the mismatch on the far sideline, but as we've seen the past few weeks, a very costly penalty will push the Orioles back to the 13-yard line.
Yeah, mentally they have to stay on top of it here. Brandon needs to step in a huddle, as I'm sure he is, and just get his other players to relax and make plays. They're in the scoring zone now, and they have to get the ball in the end zone.
Be rightly and loose to the near side. This is Griffin in motion. Peters out of the gun, Tennant to his left. Brandon back to pass. Nice block by Tennant. Brandon rolls to his left side, fires, looking in the end zone. It's tipped and caught. Touchdown, Orioles. Andrew Griffin comes down with the tipped ball. I believe Michael Kinder tipped it for the Fishers Tigers. And an excellent display of concentration and athletic ability. Andrew Griffin got one finger on it, tipped it back up into the air slightly, and was able to haul it in for the touchdown.
Well, it's an old cliche, but great players make big plays, and that's exactly what that was. And, you know, it goes back again. Fishers lost contain. Brandon Peters was able to delay things, get outside, had a little bit more time to make the throw. Had to throw across his body, which allowed the Fishers DB to knock that ball up into the air, and then just an unbelievable concentration and catch by Andrew Griffin.
So the Orioles get the 13-yard touchdown pass from Brandon Peters to Andrew Griffin, and we are all tied up again at 14 with 8 minutes and 58 seconds left to go in this first half. Alongside the Indiana Football Hall of Famer Dave Shelbourne, I'm Brian Scott. Glad you could join us for Oriole football on Audio Sports Online. It is homecoming night. You could not ask for a more beautiful night for high school football. Temperatures right now in the low 70s, maybe into the upper 60s by the time this game's over. Clear skies. A really, really cool thing happening at Avon for homecoming rather than the traditional homecoming dance. The Orioles, they had one big old tailgate party, and boy, the kids were just having a blast out here before the game. So a neat tradition here, maybe starting up at Avon for homecoming rather than the dance. They had the tailgate party, and right now they're watching a whale of a football game. This kickoff will be taken at the 4-yard line and taken up past the 20 to almost the 23-yard line. R.J. Potts, I believe, on the return.
Yeah, and that's Matt Thompson and Nick Hanlon on the tackle, two of the better defenders. Two kids that both run very well and tackle in the open field, and that started off looking like it could be a big return, and they've kept it to a minimum here.
So the Orioles answer the Tigers' score with one of their own, and after the Tigers took their first lead of the contest, the Orioles have tied it up at 14 with 8:52 left to go in this first half of play. The Tigers turned away on their first possession. They ended up turning it over on downs, but they've scored 2 touchdowns, and now they'll have the ball 1st and 10 at their own 23-yard line. Zach Eaton will go under center to begin this drive, and I believe that is Jermaine Huddleston once again the ball carrier as he takes it right up the middle, maybe even a half-yard at best before the front line of the Oriole defense, Joe Belden, Rashawn Brent, and Gunnar Larson, collapse to the hole and limit him to about a yard.
Yeah, I don't know if it's an all-the-time thing, but I also see Joe Belden's back at his left defensive end position and Gunnar's back inside the nose. So I don't know if that was an experiment that they didn't like as much, or they just wanted to get Joe on the outside where he's got a little more freedom to run.
Eaton with a quick hitter to Simeon Foster, and that's Braden Luce with the tackle. They've brought Luce in on the defensive side of the ball, as Coach Shelbourne said in the pregame show, and Luce working as a safety.
He's just a tough kid. You know, he hasn't had a lot of reps over there because he's been on offense, but you know, some kids just have that innate ability to make tackles in the open field. He obviously runs well. We've seen that as a receiver, and he's kind of filling a need for the Avon defense.
So Luce joins Brian Fitzgerald as the safeties. Here's a give right up the middle, as I believe it is Eaton on the keeper, and he will have enough for the first down. Needed a couple of yards, and he did get just that. Enough for a first down, as he'll put the ball at the 36-yard line of the Tigers. So the Tigers with a 1st and 10. 7:33 left to go in the first half, and a 14-14 tie. Out to the far side as they have wide receivers left and right, twin tight ends. Campbell now the back, and he will get the football, looks around the right side and finds nothing. As coming in to make the tackle, Joe Belden is in there. among a few others. Also, Gabe Laxton's in there for the tackle. And Campbell will actually lose maybe about a half a yard on the play. It'll be second down and a long 10.
Yeah, Joe looks a little more comfortable, at least, in this game in the first half, being back out there defensive end. When you're in the middle, you can get blocked on both sides. When he's out there on the end all by himself, he's not going to get that down block. So it allows him to get off blocks and run, and that's something he's really good at.
Play action pass. Eaton is hit, but he gets it away. Up to the 45, fumble, and it is recovered by the Orioles. Coming away with it, I believe, is Nick Handlin. He picked up the fumble. Gino Castellani was the receiver, but he loses the football, and the Orioles get a turnover of their own. As the Tigers picked off a Brandon Peters pass, the Orioles recover a Tigers fumble, and the Orioles with great field position, 1st and 10 at the Tiger 43.
Actually, I think that ended up being Braden Lewis, so whoever decided to make the change and put him over on defense is looking like a genius right now. I didn't see who made that tackle to strip the ball.
So the Orioles 1st and 10 and a 14-14 tie. They'll start this possession in Tiger territory at the 43-yard line. Peters out of the gun, fires over to the near side. Cole Rightly has the catch, and he will be ridden out of bounds over here on the near side. Tackled by Kevin Tribble is Rightly on a nice little hitch down the near sideline, picks up about 9 yards on the play.
Well, I like the play calling here by Coach Moore. They're showing patience. They have tried to go deep a couple of times, which I think you need to do just to kind of keep them loose. But Fishers is playing off a little bit. They're giving up those little quick hitches and slants and underneath routes, and that's the way Avon is attacking them and doing a very successful job of it right now.
And this is Darian Love as he goes right up the middle, and he's still fighting, but he will get the first down as Darian takes the ball down to the 30-yard line. And Avon will have it 1st and 10 at the 30 with 6:15 left to go in the first half as we are tied at 14.
Yeah, if we can crank it up a little bit more up front, I think we're doing a better job in this quarter than we did in the first quarter. But, we need to get that from tackle to tackle running game going a little bit and then let the passes pick them apart.
Brandon stays in the gun. Love back to his left. Brandon back to pass. Looks, fires over the middle. Here's Andrew Griffin at the 16-yard line. R.J. Potts had him stride for stride, but a beautiful pass as Peters put it right through the window, and it's a first down for Avon.
Well, I hope they're not listening, but you think they'd figure it out by now. I mean, they've been doing this for many years, 2 years now on a varsity level. He's a great receiver. He gets open. The offensive line gave him time, but he finds a way to get open, and Brandon's been able to get him the football.
Here is Darian Love, eludes one tackle, spins inside the 10 and down to about the 8-yard line. Another fine run by Darian Love, and again, as what Coach Mark Bless said earlier this week, they talked to Darian before the Whiteland game, trying to get those extra yards off after contact, and Darian's been doing a very good job with it in the Whiteland game and so far in tonight's game as well.
He has, and that's one of the better pushes by the Avon offensive line. He got to the outside. He was 3 or 4 deep into the secondary before a Fisher's defender even thought about tackling him.
Fisher shows blitz. They give us to Love, and he will find a little bit of room off the left side. He'll pick up maybe a half a yard or maybe a yard. It'll bring up third down in about a yard for the Orioles as they'll move the ball down to about the 7-yard line. I believe they need to get, down to about the 7. They need to get to about the 5, so it'll be third down and 2 for Avon.
Yeah, it looks like we're going with the power backs. That's Batustak coming in here, I believe. So we'll probably be in the I formation, and if we're not going to pound it, it'll be a play action out of the I.
Batustak is in. Zach Batustak is the fullback. Darian Love remains a tailback. Peters will work underneath his center, Brady Nyland. 3rd and 2, play action pass. Peters looks, fires, and has a man open here at the 10, down into the end zone. Touchdown, Avon, Matt Moore. They just let the Tigers defenders come in. They throw the screen on the near side, and Matt Moore takes it in from 7 yards out, and the Orioles are back out in front.
Well, that's a naked waggle. I mean, that's an unblocked defensive end. you're hoping that the play action fake is going to get him to scream down the line and make the tackle. I don't know if he was assigned that assignment or not, but he wasn't faked out at all. And again, Brandon Peters' athleticism was just better than their defensive end. And
Sam Perino, that ball is tipped at the line of scrimmage, and it is no good. But with 4:11 left to go in the first half, the Orioles retake the lead, 20-14. Back with a kickoff in a moment. This is Oriole football on ASO.
Reynolds Body Shop is a proud sponsor of Avon football broadcast. They are conveniently located at 4325 West Washington Street in Indianapolis, just 4 stoplights east of 465. Their phone is 317-243-2372, and they are open Monday through Friday from 7:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Reynolds has been family-owned and operated for 30 years, specializing in collision repair. Reynolds Body Shop is also an insurance work specialist. Learn more about them on the web at www.reynoldsbodyshop.com.
The Orioles go 43 yards, and they do so in just a little over 2 minutes. Matt Moore on the receiving end of a 7-yard Brandon Peters touchdown pass. Sam Perino's point after, however, is no good. That could prove big in a game like this. But the Orioles have a 20-14 lead with 4:11 left to go in the first half. Perino set to kick this ball away, and he will kick it, and it'll be taken. And no, it'll let go into the end zone. R.J. Potts lets this one go into the end zone. So the Tigers will have it 1st and 10. They fumbled on their last possession, so both teams have committed a turnover. Both teams have converted those turnovers into touchdowns. The difference right now, the Fisher's touchdown was worth 7, and right now the Avon's touchdown is only worth 6. But the Orioles do have the lead 20-14 as Zach Eaton and this Tigers offense stay huddled over on the far sideline, and now they'll break the sideline coming over toward the line of scrimmage.
Well, I mentioned earlier about big plays, and, right now Avon's made more. Both teams are very solid, playing very well, but when Avon's needed the big plays, either offensively or defensively, at least in this half, they've made those plays.
Maurice Campbell in as the tailback as Zach Eaton will work out of the gun. Campbell to his left. Eaton back to pass on 1st and 10. Fires. Pass is complete. That is Castellani, that fumbled that ball on the last drive. Gabe Laxton's was there to meet him, but a good job by the 6'1", 221-pound senior tight end for the Tigers to concentrate, hold on to the football. It's a pickup of 5. It'll be 2nd and 5.
There it was, because that was a big-time hit by Gabe. He closed on the pass very quickly. I also noticed that this time they've got Joe Belden lined up on the other side, so it looks like they're moving him around a little bit. He's a tough matchup for Fisher's offensive line, and they're trying to, find a way to get him into the backfield.
Eaton back to pass, comes to the near side. Pass is incomplete. He was looking for Evan Long here on the near side, and Gabe Laxton's was over there in coverage, and Matt Thompson has also leaked out there. But again, another big 3rd down, and boy, the Orioles would just love to get the Tigers off the field on this 3rd down and 5 and maybe have something to work with 3:28 left to go in this first half. Eaton looks over a 4-down front for the Orioles. He has Campbell to his right. Eaton rolls out, looking over the right side. Rashawn Brent in pursuit. Eaton will lose him, but he will not pick up the 1st down, as good pursuit by the Orioles and good coverage downfield makes Eaton run out of bounds at around the 26-yard line, and the Orioles will indeed force the Tigers to punt the ball away.
Yeah, a lot of credit that time to Rashawn. He got upfield. He had contained. He pressured the quarterback, so he couldn't look downfield to see what was there. And in the end, he ended up running the ball out of bounds.
Head coach Mark Bless is going to call a timeout with 3:20 left to go in the first half, as the Orioles will be waiting on a 4th down punt. We'll be back in a moment. This is Oriole Football on Audio Sports Online.
McNamara Florist is Indy's hometown florist since 1954, with 8 convenient locations, including the new Avon store on Rockville Road. McNamara Florist is famous for our floral designs for all occasions that help our clients express their emotions through flowers. Visit McNamara Florist for outstanding personal service and to select from the renowned home decor merchandising, including stunning Christmas classics. McNamara Florist is located at 9655 East Highway 36 in Avon, and you can give them a call at 579-7900.
Andrew Griffin and Braden Luce will drop back as they prepare to field Josh punt. Luce and Griffin will stand back at around their own 36. Lloyd stands back at about his 12. High snap, and he gets it down. It's blocked. Nick Handlin blocked it, and he is going to recover his own block. Mark Bless told me earlier this week that Nick Handlin had been very, very close on numerous punts this year, just hadn't been able to get his hands on one. And finally, in a big situation, Nick Handlin comes up big.
Well, you know, we mentioned earlier, Nick's one of those big-time players. He plays with a lot of emotion. He knows that, this is an important part of the game. This is one of those situations, a kicking game, that coaches have to fight like crazy to get players to understand the importance. Nick always understood it, and he just made a huge play that hopefully he's going to put Avon on top here by a couple scores.
So the Orioles have it 1st and 10 at the Tiger 27-yard line. Peters back to pass, throws the screen. Derek Tennant at the 25 to the 20, down inside the 10, and he is in for the touchdown.
Again, outstanding call. I don't know if that's Coach Bless or Coach Moore, but
well, we have a penalty flag back at the 28-yard line. Might have been an illegal block or a hold. It was back where the screen was being set up. And it's an illegal block against Avon. So wipe out the touchdown. And that has been let's just say it, the bugaboo of this Orioles team all season long is penalties and key situations. This one's going to wipe out a 27-yard touchdown.
Yeah, that's a tough call, but we're still up. We've still got the ball. We've still got 3 minutes to go here. So, it's very important that we keep our composure. But that is a very, very tough call.
They'll move the ball back to the 37-yard line. It'll be 1st and 20 now for Avon. A beautifully set up play as Derek Tennant on the screen had it and ran it in, but the penalty brings it back. Peters back to pass, looking deep. Gabe Laxton's touchdown, Avon. Well, they didn't get it on the first play. They got it on the second. A 37-yard touchdown strike. Brandon Peters to Gabe Laxton in stride.
Well, that's one I have to admit. I'm sitting up here in the box, but Gabe plays about 3 plays a game on offense, and every play he comes in, he runs deep. So, I'm not sure what they're thinking. There's 3 minutes to go and a half. You mentioned earlier they had a matchup problem. So, they're going to go there, and that's exactly what they did. Great route. Great protection, great throw by Brandon Peters.
Sam Perino on for the point after, missed his last one, but he nails this one through. And with 2:57 left to go in the first half, the Orioles get a big one. The block punt turns into 7, and right now they lead the 6th-ranked team in Class 6A by the score 27-14 with 2 minutes and 57 seconds left to go in this first half of play. So a couple of big plays. Orioles on a penalty. Well, Derek Tennant's 27-yard pass, that doesn't go in the books. It's called back. But right back at it, Brandon Peters finds Gabe Laxton, and it's a beautifully thrown ball. He hit Gabe right over the inside shoulder, hit him in stride, and Gabe just simply took it into the end zone for the touchdown.
I'm going to put in a plug here for one of my former players, Tim Dolan. Tim came up to visit me in the press box there. Tim played for me back in the old days at Highland, and when did you graduated in '84? So obviously in my younger coaching days, but Tim was a hard-nosed, tough running back for me, put up with me for years, and I have the pleasure now of teaching at Avon High School with his wife, Barb. So he's up here in the press box just saying hey.
Perino will force Potts back to the 2, to the 10, to the 15, and coming in to make the tackle on a fine running play. I believe coming in to make that tackle for the Avon Orioles.
Is that 39?
I believe it is Matt Thompson that came in and made the tackle.
Right now, the thing I'm really impressed with, I like the emotion, obviously, that Avon's playing with, but they're making all the big plays. they're running downfield. They make the tackle here. They've got them inside the 20. They complete the long passes. They're pressuring the quarterback. Early in the game, it looked like Fishers had things going momentum-wise, and all of the momentum right now is definitely on the Avon side. They've got to carry it over here. They've got them back in a hole here again. There's still 3 minutes to go in a half, and if we can get another 3 and out, maybe we can get a few more points up here on the board.
Well, this time the Tigers are going to be hit with a very, very crucial penalty. Personal foul penalty goes against the Tigers. That's going to push Fishers all the way back to the 8-yard line, and that is where they will have it 1st and 10. 2:52 remains in this first half, but the Avon Orioles lead 27-14. Here's Campbell looking for some room around the outside. He's not going to find it. As coming in to make the tackle for Avon, that was...
Looks like Thompson again.
Matt Thompson is the one that made the tackle.
Having a great half. I tell you, that time Avon got good push, great penetration. They got up into the backfield where earlier they were on their heels a little bit and catching. Now, I think with the momentum changing, they're playing with a little excitement, a little emotion, and they're getting up after Fishers pretty good right now.
So that'll be no gain on the play, 2nd down and 10. Clock stops, 2:46 remains. And this ball snap, it goes in the end zone and through for a safety. Bad snap. Zach Eaton couldn't corral the football, and the safety will give the Orioles 2 points. And more importantly, they're going to get the football back with still 2 minutes and 42 seconds left to go on the clock.
Some nights things just go your way, and at least this first half right now, things have gone Avon's way, an awful lot because they've made it that way by playing as well as they're playing. But, this is not a typical thing you expect to see out of a Fishers team. They don't turn the ball over. They don't give up big plays. Traditionally they play a deeper zone on defense where they keep everybody in front of them, and, they let Laxton's run right by them. So, they've got some things to fix at halftime. I'm sure that, Coach Wimmer's going to take care of that, and I think the whole key here for Coach Bless and his staff is, just to keep this emotion and everything going.
So the safety will make it a 29-14 game in favor of the Orioles with 2 minutes and 42 seconds remaining, and Avon's going to get the ball back as the Tigers will have a free kick from their 20-yard line. It'll be Andrew Griffin and Braden Luce back deep, and you can just see this Orioles sideline buzzing, not to mention the fans here again, it's an absolutely gorgeous night here in Avon. It is homecoming. The fans are packed in here on the near sidelines. Fishers, they brought a decent crowd of their own, but right now it's all Avon with 2:42 left to go in the half. Getting ready to kick the ball, Josh Lloyd. He gets a boomer of a punt. Braden Luce is going to take it at the 13, to the 20, to the 25, to the 30, and he will finally be pushed out of bounds here on the near side on a really, really nice punt by Josh Lloyd, as he's going to pin the Orioles back at around their 30-yard line. But Avon, they lead currently by the score of 29-14. They still have 2 timeouts remaining and still plenty of time left to go in this first half.
That ball was in the air over 60 yards. That was a great punt, whether it came on after a safety or not.
So 1st and 10 for Avon as Brandon Peters will work this drive to begin out of the gun. He will drop back to pass, fires near side. Gabe Laxton's pass is complete. Over here on the near side, Kevin Tribble, a 5'11", 164-pound senior in coverage, but a nice play as Laxton's will take it up to around the 42-yard line.
And I see they taught him another route. Usually he's come in, he's a big body, great athlete, nice kid to go deep, and that time he ran a precision down and out. Timing was good and picked up the first down.
So 1st and 10 for Avon, and that is Laxton's lined up on the near side, 3 wideouts to the far side. Peters will throw again on 1st and 10, and this time he will still keep running. A nice job. Joel Wilcox had him back for about a 3-yard loss, but Brandon Peters at 6'5", 195, probably plays closer to 210. and he just muscled that from a 2-3 yard loss to about a 2-3 yard gain. 3 wideouts to go to the far side. That is Matt Moore, Andrew Griffin, and Cole Rightley. Here's a give. Derek Tennant to the midfield stripe. Still running to the 45, to the 43. Still on his feet, and he'll finally be brought down. Josh Lloyd will bring down Derek Tennant, but not before Derek picks up about 15 yards down to the Tiger 43-yard line.
Great hold by the offensive lineman. He hit the line of scrimmage, gigantic hole, hit it full speed, and actually got into the secondary and had great blocks by the wide receivers out there. I think that was Luce and Griffin, which really allowed him to, not just get the 5 or 6 yards that you would expect, but I think he picked up close to 15 yards on that run.
Clock moves. We're under a minute 30 left to go first half. 29-14 Avon. Peters back to pass. Rolls out to the near side. Plenty of time. Fires downfield. In and out of the hands of Braden Luce. He had Andrew Griffin short, and Luce was about 6-7 yards further downfield. He elected to throw it to Braden, but it slips through his fingers, and that'll bring up 2nd and 10.
Yeah, I'm really surprised, and maybe it's not what they intended to do, but they've given up contained so many times. I mean, with a quarterback that can, with the ability of Peters to scramble, I would think that, especially with a minute to go and a half, that they would do everything they can to make sure he stays inside the pocket. But part of that has to do with ability also.
2nd down and 10 for the Orioles. 1 minute, 21 seconds remain. Blitz comes. Peters. It is picked up nicely. Peters, all sorts of time, throws downfield, fires, has Andrew Griffin. Pass is completed about the 37. A penalty flag is also on the play.
We've got linemen downfield. That was a screen, and I'm not sure what their outlet is, but we used to teach quarterbacks, if it was covered, just throw it at the feet of the intended receiver and take your incompletion and move on. Brandon, being the athlete that he is, tried to make something out of nothing, and he did find an open receiver downfield, but by that time our offensive linemen were also downfield.
So an ineligible man downfield is going to push the Orioles back to the Tiger 48-yard line, where it will be 2nd down and about 15 yards to go. Gabe Laxton's wide out to the far side. He's matched up with Kevin Tribble on that side.
And they're awfully tight.
Peters back to pass. Rolls to the near side. Looking. He'll keep it, and now he will throw it well away. Didn't have a whole lot there. Was going to be lucky to get back to the original line of scrimmage, so he just tossed it downfield out of bounds, and that'll bring up 3rd and 15. 1:06 remains in the half.
Yeah, made the smart move. I wouldn't be surprised to see Coach Moore down there talking to Brandon now. We've attempted to go deep. We've attempted to run some of the out patterns on the outside. I would say, from what I'm looking at their defense right now, we might see some kind of a deep drag route like we saw earlier in the game to one of the wide receivers coming across the field at about 10-15 yards.
Andrew Griffin's to the far side, Luce and Rightley to the near side, with Braden working the slot. Tennant, the lone back. Peters back to pass, but this play will go nowhere as they look like they're counting the number of players. Yep, it's going to be illegal procedure. Initially, it looked like he might have been trying to count how many defensive players, but in the end, it's illegal procedure against Avon. So this one moving backwards. Illegal man downfield, and now an illegal procedure penalty pushes the ball back into Oriole territory, back at the 47-yard line, where it's going to be about 3rd down and 20 with 1:05 left to go.
Yeah, you don't want to pull the throttle out here, but we are up by 15, and you're in a 3rd and 20 situation. So, if you are going to throw the football or try to pick up the 1st down, we might need to think of something short and let them run rather than throwing the ball downfield like I mentioned earlier.
Matt Moore moves to the left side of the formation as Peters on this 3rd and 20. Nice block by Derek Tennant. Peters is just going to throw this one away as well, as it was well covered downfield, and that'll bring up 4th down.
Excellent decision. I mean, that's one of those, maybe the people in the stands are sitting up there thinking, what the heck's he doing? It wasn't there. The last thing in the world you want to do now is force it. If we go in up by 15 and a half against Fishers, I'm sure the coaches will be pleased. I think Avon's played a great first half here. We haven't made as many errors as Fishers, and Fishers has made a few because we forced them. we've got 29 points up here right now on Fishers, and I think Pike only put up 26 for the game, and they're a scoring machine. So I think our offense has done a great job, and the defense has matched it on the other side.
Alex Steffen back to punt this ball away. Josh Lloyd is the lone deep man as the Tigers come, and they get this one off. They just get it off. And that ball's going to take a bounce, and it'll be fielded by Avon at the 23-yard line as the Tigers came a-calling. But a good job by Alex Steffen to get that ball away. And the Tigers will have it 1st and 10 with 49 seconds remaining. And Fishers, with all 3 of their timeouts, will start the drive at the 24-yard line.
Yeah, well, this is, right now you get your defensive backs back. You take your defensive ends and get them out nice and wide. If you give up a first down here, who cares? You just absolutely cannot give up a big play or a big score.
Zach Eaton will have 3 wideouts as Simeon Foster will work the slot on the far side. Eaton, though, will bend under his center, Matt Halfley. Avon switching their defense up. Braden Luce working the safety. The give is to Huddleston. Jermaine Huddleston, he'll elude 1 tackle, and he will be pushed out of bounds over on the far sideline. Drew Shayatovich was able to push him out of bounds, but that will stop the clock with 41.8 seconds remaining.
Well, we did a better job getting our outside guy up there to contain and force him a little bit wider, but unfortunately he's a good enough running back. He just ran that contain man right over. But, at this point, let him run a little bit, let the clock run out. Go in and pat him on the back for a great first half, and then make sure you fix the things that need to be fixed so we can come out here and do it again in the second half.
Again, 3 wideouts, 2 to the far side as the give is right up the middle. This is Huddleston still running, and finally bringing him down. It's Rashawn Brent, but not before Huddleston will pick up about 12, 13 yards on the play up to the 40-yard line, and the Tigers will have it 1st and 10. They'll stop the clock, and now Rick Wimmer is going to call a timeout. We will as well. 35.1 seconds remain in the first half. Orioles lead 29-14. Back in a moment. This is Oriole football on ASO.
Avon has a rich wrestling tradition, and now Red Cobra Wrestling is proud to be a part of it. Opening last November, Red Cobra Wrestling offers training sessions run by nationally known coach Chad Red. Red Cobra Wrestling is located at 9233 East Highway 36 in Avon, across the street from Walmart and behind sidelines in the Red Brick Building. Red Cobra Wrestling offers sessions for all ages, including 3rd grade and under and 4th grade and up. Learn more about prices, class schedules, and information at RedCobraWrestlingAcademy.com.
35.1 seconds remain in this first half. Avon with a 15-point lead, but the Tigers have the ball at the Fisher 40-yard line. They still have 2 timeouts remaining, and Zach Eaton now will work out of the shotgun. 3 wideouts, 2 to the top. Eaton back to pass. Pressure comes. He steps up. Now he runs. Looking for some room down the field, and he won't find any.
Thomas Williams, great play.
Thomas Williams, the Mike linebacker, a 5'10", 220-pound senior. Good coverage down the field. Eaton really didn't have anywhere to go with it, and that allowed Williams to close and sack the Fishers quarterback all the way back at the 33-yard line.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's playing with a broken hand. He's got it all bandaged up, but boy, you couldn't tell from that tackle. He accelerated, ran him down, ran him over.
And Coach Rick Wimmer, after that sack, he's not going to take any more chances. He's going to go to the locker room and try to figure out a few things. The Avon Orioles will head to the locker room under a huge ovation by this Avon Oriole crowd. They appreciate what they've watched Avon do in this first half, and they head to the locker room with the lead 29-14. We're going to come back in a few minutes. Coach Shelbourne and I will talk a little bit about the first half, what's happening in the Hoosier Crossroads Conference tonight, and maybe even take a look at what's happening around Class 6A as far as the top 10. Back in a moment. This is halftime with the Orioles up 29-14. This is Oriole football on Audio Sports Online.
Stop Stop in any Brownsburg or Avon McDonald's and try one of their two $2 tasty specials, the jalapeno burger or the triple cheeseburger. McDonald's is a proud supporter of Avon and Brownsburg athletics and is proud to host the McDonald's Hendricks County Sports Show, taped Wednesday nights on location and aired Friday nights before football on 1610 AM XRB and XRBradio.com. McDonald's has two locations in Brownsburg and Avon. In Brownsburg, they are located at the corner of Main and Odell next to Marsh and just off Green Street next to I-74. In Avon, you can find them at the corner of 267 and 36 next to Kroger or on Rockville Road next to Meyer. Stop in either Brownsburg or Avon McDonald's for their $2 tasty specials, the jalapeno burger or the triple cheeseburger today. Reynolds Body Shop is a proud sponsor of Avon football broadcasts. They are conveniently located at 4325 West Washington Street in Indianapolis, just 4 stoplights east of 465. Their phone is 317-243-2372, and they are open Monday through Friday from 7:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Reynolds has been family-owned and operated for 30 years, specializing in collision repair. Reynolds Body Shop is also an insurance work specialist. Learn more about them on the web at www.reynoldsbodyshop.com. McNamara Florist is Indy's hometown florist since 1954, with 8 convenient locations, including the new Avon store on Rockville Road. McNamara Florist is famous for our floral designs for all occasions that help our clients express their emotions through flowers. Visit McNamara Florist for outstanding personal service and to select from the renowned home decor merchandising, including stunning Christmas classics. McNamara Florist is located at 9655 East Highway 36 in Avon, and you can give them a call at 579-7900. Avon has a rich wrestling tradition, and now Red Cobra Wrestling is proud to be a part of it. Opening last November, Red Cobra Wrestling offers training sessions run by nationally known coach Chad Red. Red Cobra Wrestling is located at 9233 East Highway 36 in Avon, across the street from Walmart and behind sidelines in the Red Brick Building. Red Cobra Wrestling offers sessions for all ages, including 3rd grade and under and 4th grade and up. Learn more about prices, class schedules, and information at RedCobraWrestlingAcademy.com.
Halftime at Avon High School, and the Avon Orioles, ranked 14th in the state of Indiana, are up by 15 points over the 6th-ranked team, the Fishers Tigers, by the score 29-14. Welcome to the halftime show. I'm Brian Scott. I'm joined by the Indiana Football Hall of Famer Dave Shelbourne. It's a big, big night here at Avon. It is homecoming, and as we mentioned earlier, a rather special night, a little something different you don't normally see. Instead of a big homecoming dance, the Avon High School has elected to hold a big tailgate party, and I can tell you from being here early, all the kids were here. It was a big, big time, a lot of fun to be had as they had a big tailgate party out here in the parking lot rather than the homecoming dance. And, of course, everybody stood around as right now they are introducing the homecoming court, king and queen, right now at halftime here. It is a big, big night, as we mentioned. The Fishers Tigers, they come in at the top of the HCC standings. They're the only team with an undefeated record in HCC play at 3-0. There was a host of teams with one loss: Noblesville, Westfield, Avon, and Brownsburg. And I can tell you right now, Brownsburg's trailing by 14-0 at the half. And Noblesville, while it's not a Hoosier Crossroads Conference match, they're losing to Chittard 14-0 as well. So right now there was a whole lot of HCC teams that were really pulling for Avon tonight. A win by the Orioles, they control their own destiny. They can do no worse than tie the HCC for a possible HCC title if they can win out as this season winds down. After tonight, Avon will have games at Westfield next week. They will have their final home game of the season on October 10th against Zionsville, and then they will be on the road for what could be a really, really big game as far as the HCC title. That game is at Noblesville, but still got a half of football left to get past Fishers tonight. Meanwhile, action from last week, we talked about Avon. They defeated Whiteland 38-12. Brownsburg, they got their backsides handed to them by Fishers last week, 49-14. 28 unanswered second half points by the Tigers, the difference in that game. Noblesville beat Zionsville 37-13. Andy Echeverria's first year as the head coach of the Zionsville Eagles, taking over for the legend Larry McWhorter. It's a new year. It's a transition year for the Eagles. They're going to have some work to do, and it's just not Hamilton Southeastern's year this year. Head coach Scott May, they fall to Westfield last week, 34-20. Games of this week.
They are winning 14-0 at half over Zionsville right now.
Well, so somebody's coming away with an HCC victory tonight. Those two teams, the only teams that don't have a victory in HCC play. Zionsville came in 0-2, and the Royals 0-3. Games tonight, of course, Fishers is here. Noblesville and Chittard. Noblesville was trailing in that game. Westfield was leading Brownsburg at the half, 14-0. And as Coach just mentioned, Hamilton Southeastern is leading Zionsville, and that's a home game for Southeastern. Next week, should this one hold up, another big game is the Orioles will have to go play a very, very good Westfield Shamrock team. Of course, Westfield, they were the Class 5A runners-up last year. Coach Jay Gilbert, he's got a fantastic football program once again. Westfield coming in this week. They were 3-2, but 2-1 in HCC play. Brownsburg will be at Zionsville. Southeastern will be at Noblesville. And Fishers, they'll have the non-conference game next week, but they'll be playing Tech. So that'll be a big game, but that game is at Fishers. It is halftime here at Hendricks Regional Health Stadium with Avon leading 29-14. And Coach, we don't often sit here and talk a lot about what's happening in the rest of 6A. Some of the big games we saw last week, of course, one of the big ones last week was Warren Central defeating Ben Davis. That was a big game. That allowed Warren Central to move up, and that's really going to set up one of probably the marquee matchups next week. And I know we were all saying, boy, we wish we could be there.
Right. At least the early part of the season, Ben Davis, Warren Central, and Carmel appear to be the class of 6A. They played very well. They've got good, solid programs. They're well coached. They've got lots of athletes, and they seem to get them to play hard. And those are key games. I mean, I watched a little bit of the highlights on TV last week, and watched Warren come back and and score late in the game. But those are two very solid programs, and Carmel seems to be on a roll right now. And at least at this point in the season, they appear to be at the head of 6A.
Carmel started this week as the number one team in 6A. They're 5-0. Warren Central, off of that victory against Ben Davis, moved up to second. They're 5-0. And if you're not really familiar with the Penn Kingsmen, you should be. Corey Yeoman up there has had a fantastic program, and he's done it for quite a few number of years. Last year, they pretty much ran roughshod over everybody and then had to come down and play Carmel. And, some of the problems you have with some of the 6A schools once you get out of Central Indiana is they just don't get to play in and week out the higher level of competition. Other 6A schools, they just don't have as many 6A schools around. And I think we saw that with Penn last year. They run roughshod over everybody up north, but Corey Yeoman has had an excellent program for quite a number of years now.
Well, they go out every week expecting to win and know the competition isn't what you're going to see on a week-to-week basis down here in Central Indiana. But, they get their kids ready during tournament time. They get a lot of quality reps. The one thing that I don't think most people that aren't in coaching realize is their backup kids get a lot of reps. So, year in and year out, when they kind of turn things over, they play almost all seniors, and everybody says, gee, they got no experience coming back. But those kids have gotten a lot of quality minutes, and again, they're well coached and do a great job. And, come tournament time, and you see the same thing with, with Fort Wayne Snyder. It's always tough to tell how good they are until the tournament. And some years, they may go out early, and some years they make that great run, and you don't realize how good they are until they make that late tournament run. But I think you're right. Year in and week in and week out, 6A football in Central Indiana is extremely strong, and it's competitive, and teams down here that might be the class in other areas are just maybe average or above average teams in the Indianapolis area.
Penn is third this week. Ben Davis dropped to fourth after the loss to Warren Central, but they'll have Lawrence North this week, so probably a big bounce back. Southport with an impressive win last week. They went and defeated Bloomington South 38-17. Southport is fifth this week. Fishers, they remain 6 after defeating Brownsburg last week. Carroll of Fort Wayne, they move up. They move up to 7th. They're 5-0. They're taking on 3-2 Belmont this week. Jeffersonville, another impressive team. They moved up to 8th. 5-0 on the year. Noblesville comes in at 9th, and again, they were playing Chittard tonight, and they were losing that game at the half. And Center Grove, they've had some scares. They've had some decent wins. They blew out North Central last week. They'll take on Lawrence Central this week, and then Pike is a team that has really fallen off. They start tonight 12th, and for all that, they get to go play Warren Central.
Yeah, but they're so capable of putting a lot of points up that it's really tough to tell. And their 3 losses, are to some real quality teams. I do want to put out a little shout out to Coach Peebles. He's done an unbelievable job. That was a job when it opened that nobody wanted, and nobody in their right mind thought that they could turn things around at Southport, but he's done an unbelievable job. And, sometimes you're not always sure, with some of the people that they're playing, but they beat, as we know, a very solid Westfield team just a couple of weeks ago and really beat them pretty soundly. So he's done a great job. They're fundamentally sound. They play hard every week, and that's a program that I think, whoever they line up against, they're going to play hard.
So that's a quick look around Class 6A, and, of course, season winding down after tonight. Only 3 games remain on the regular season schedule before we begin sectional play coming up in October. Halftime here at Hendricks Regional Health Stadium. The Avon Orioles lead the Fishers Tigers 29-14. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit about the first half and talk about what we think is going to happen here in the second half. This is Oriole football on ASO.
Stop in any Brownsburg or Avon McDonald's and try one of their two $2 tasty specials, the jalapeno burger or the triple cheeseburger. McDonald's is a proud supporter of Avon and Brownsburg athletics and is proud to host the McDonald's Hendricks County Sports Show, taped Wednesday nights on location and aired Friday nights before football on 1610 AM XRB and xrbradio.com. McDonald's has 2 locations in Brownsburg and Avon. In Brownsburg, they are located at the corner of Main and Odell next to Marsh and just off Green Street next to I-74. In Avon, you can find them at the corner of 267 and 36 next to Kroger or on Rockville Road next to Meyer. Stop in either Brownsburg or Avon McDonald's for their $2 tasty specials, the jalapeno burger or the triple cheeseburger today. Reynolds Body Shop is a proud sponsor of Avon football broadcasts. They are conveniently located at 4325 West Washington Street in Indianapolis, just 4 stoplights east of 465. Their phone is 317-243-2372, and they are open Monday through Friday from 7:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Reynolds has been family-owned and operated for 30 years, specializing in collision repair. Reynolds Body Shop is also an insurance work specialist. Learn more about them on the web at www.reynoldsbodyshop.com. McNamara Florist is Indy's hometown florist since 1954, with 8 convenient locations, including the new Avon store on Rockville Road. McNamara Florist is famous for our floral designs for all occasions that help our clients express their emotions through flowers. Visit McNamara Florist for outstanding personal service and to select from the renowned home decor merchandising, including stunning Christmas classics. McNamara Florist is located at 9655 East Highway 36 in Avon, and you can give them a call at 579-7900. Avon has a rich wrestling tradition, and now Red Cobra Wrestling is proud to be a part of it. Opening last November, Red Cobra Wrestling offers training sessions run by nationally known coach Chad Red. Red Cobra Wrestling is located at 9233 East Highway 36 in Avon, across the street from Walmart and behind sidelines in the Red Brick Building. Red Cobra Wrestling offers sessions for all ages, including 3rd grade and under and 4th grade and up. Learn more about prices, class schedules, and information at RedCobraWrestlingAcademy.com.
Welcome back to Hendricks Regional Health Stadium at Avon High School. About ready to begin second half action as The 14th-ranked Avon Orioles currently lead the 6th-ranked Fishers Tigers by the score 29-14. Alongside the Indiana Football Hall of Famer Dave Shelbourne, I'm Brian Scott. It was big plays. That's really what the first half was all about. Both teams got a couple of turnovers. Both teams turned it into points. And in the end, as Coach Shelbourne said toward the end of the first half, it's Avon right now making more of the big plays than the Fishers Tigers. A very key block punt late in that first half by Nick Handlin. That set up another touchdown score. Avon, they thought they had it on the first play on a 27-yard screen pass to Derek Tennant. Penalty brought it back, no problem. Brandon Peters hits Gabe Laxton's 37 yards on the very next play, and that is where we stand, 29-14. And, Coach, we talk about big plays, and Avon really is one of those teams. They play aggressive, they play with intensity, and when they get that emotion and when they get that intensity, it just seems to carry them minute to minute, quarter to quarter as the game progresses.
Well, they're playing with more confidence tonight than I've seen all year. Offensively, you know, they maybe have an incompletion or a run that doesn't go anywhere, but you don't see them. They're hanging their heads. You don't see them walking back to the huddle. You know, they're playing as if that's okay, we'll get it on the next play. Having Darian run like he did as well last week, and now having Derek back, they've got two real quality running backs. Zach Patustak, you'll never find a tougher kid. You know, he does the dirty work for both of them when they bring him in there in the I formation. Matt Moore's a kid we haven't mentioned a whole lot tonight, but I'm not too sure there are many better tight ends in the state of Indiana than Matt. You know, he's big enough to get in there and block. He's also, you know, good enough athlete to split out and run routes. You know, and Andrew Griffin, you know, I mean, he gets open. I don't know. He makes catches. The catch he made in the end zone, I don't know how well it showed up on our video, but, you know, here live, unbelievable catch. I mean, it's a big-time NFL-type catch. And, you know, and Brandon Peters just continues to do what Brandon Peters does. And, you know, I noticed a little more excitement and a little more effort out of the offensive line that second quarter. Defensively, we've gotten after it a little bit. Early it didn't look so good, at least I didn't think. I thought they were handling us up front. Second quarter, we got after pretty well and forced some turnovers. And, you know, Nick Handlin makes that big play on the punt to set things up. And, you know, right now Avon's playing with a lot of confidence, and I hope it can continue here in the third quarter and, you know, until the end of the game.
The Orioles will have the football to begin this second half. Is getting ready to kick this football away is Josh Lloyd. Ian Pendleton back as a single safety as Lloyd puts a foot into it, and Pendleton's going to end up with this one in the end zone, or muffed it. They say it was out of the end zone, so Pendleton to the 15, to the 20, penalty flag. That's going to be a block in the back as that one's going to be moved back. As they'll say Pendleton had a foot out of the on the other side of the goal line, and so it was a muffed ball. He had to bring it out, but a penalty is going to push the Orioles back on an illegal block in the back.
Well, these are the things that give coaches heart attacks, and I guess in my case, you know, to lose a few hair, you know, here we thought we'd have a run out to the 25-yard line where you're operating in good position. You know, we don't catch the ball cleanly near the goal line, and then we do get the nice run out, and we've got the block in the back on the 10. So now we're starting on the 5-yard line. What we don't want to do here is give Fishers any reason to think they're in the game.
Derek Tennant is the tailback as the Orioles go to a 4-wide look with 3 at the top of the formation. They give is to Derek. Derek finds some room around the left side to the 10, to the 15. Still running, and he'll have a first down as he'll pick up about 11 yards and give the Orioles a little bit of breathing room out past the 16, close to the 17-yard line.
Derek's running like a man possessed right now. He's a strong kid. He's a tough kid. I think he and Darian Love complement each other very well. I think the fact that both of them are running well, I'm sure it makes the situation in practice competitive. And, you know, Avon can use them both and has used them both.
Moore, Griffin, and Rightly to the near side. Loose to the far side, but the gives to Derek. Derek looking for some room. Near side cuts it up to the 25, and he will be tackled after a pickup of almost 10 yards on the play. Coming in to make the tackle was, I believe, Luke Harbison for the Fishers Tigers, but it is a first down for Avon up to the 38-yard line. First and 10 for the Orioles. Just underway in the third quarter. Avon with a 15-point lead. Rightly, Griffin, and Moore all to the far side. Gabe Laxton's back in. He's lined up to the near side. Peters stays in the gun. And he'll give it to Derek. Derek will take it inside, and he will bust it up for a pickup of about 3-4 yards up beyond the 32-yard line. Coach, we've kind of seen as this season has progressed, we started the season and pretty much Andrew Griffin, wide receiver, option number 1, and Matt Moore at tight end. Now we've seen Braden Luce kind of get in. Now we're starting to see Gabe Laxton's as the offensive.
And Cole Wrightley made the nice catch. So, you know, they do have a lot of weapons, and the fact that they can move the football around is going to make them tougher to defend.
Matt Moore will shift to the left side on this second down and about 5. Brandon gives it to Darian Love on a nice little counter. Takes it to the 40, to the 45, and he will keep his feet. Penalty flag comes in late, but Darian Love will take it to Tiger territory at the 47-yard line and might be a horse collar tackle. It is. Tackled by the helmet. Tack on another 15 yards, and a big run by Love gets even bigger after the 15-yard personal foul penalty. And when all is said and done, this football is going to be spotted inside the 35 down to about the 32-yard line.
Well, what a great drive so far. We started on the 5-yard line. We haven't done anything fancy. You know, we're just attacking them with the run. We are playing with that confidence that we showed in the first half, and Avon's put together a nice little drive here to start the second half.
So first and 10 for the Orioles at the Tiger 32-yard line. Again, a 3-wide look, but the give is to the near side. And with the football, I believe, was Darian Love. He will take it down to the 30-yard line. It's a pickup of 2, and it'll make it 2nd and 8. Under 10 minutes, 9:45 left to go third quarter.
Well, the good news, I think, and I'm sure the coaches upstairs are calling it down right now, but Fishers are starting to blitz. You know, they were sitting in their base defense, and they were just getting ripped by it. So, you know, you can see they're inching those DBs up a little bit. They brought an outside linebacker. That time they brought one inside. So, you know, they realize that if they just sit there, they're going to get hammered.
Matt Moore shifts left. The give is to Darian Love. He finds a hole, and he will pick up a few yards before he is rudely brought down. Tackle made by Alec Rhodes, and he lost his helmet in the process, so he's going to have to leave for a play. A nice tackle by the weak side linebacker, a pickup of a couple. It'll bring up third down at about 4.
We're being methodical right now, which is nice to see. It's 3-4 yards. It's nothing fancy. You know, we're running a little inside zone, then they come back and run what looks like an inside zone. It's a little counter play back to the other side. We give a lot of credit to the offensive line right now. They're doing a terrific job.
3rd and 4, and Brandon Peters gets the Tigers to jump off sides. Well, there's another very mature aspect of Brandon Peters. 3rd down and 4. He gets the Tigers to jump. And a cheap first down helps the Orioles extend this drive as the ball is now spotted at about the 21-yard line.
Well, the whole key for us the second half is composure. You know, we've shown bits and pieces of it at times. It's always difficult, you know, for football teams at any level, whether it be high school or the NFL, to play with that composure for 4 quarters and without putting a kiss of death on us. You know, right now for 2.5 quarters, we sure have played with a lot of composure.
Luce and Griffin to the far side with Andrew working the slot. Play action as Peters rolls out, looking for something the near side, fires. Pass is knocked away. He was looking for Matt Moore, but a very, very good safety in R.J. Potts. He was there in coverage, knocks the ball away. It'll bring up 2nd and 10.
Yeah, good call. Whether it works or not, you know, it's always good to let the other team know a little bit what you got in the arsenal, and you know they have to sit back and play that as well. With us running the football as well as we have, a play action call is not a bad call. We've been running the football well enough with confidence. You know, we're probably down here right now in 4-down territory anyway, so you know, we can come back and easily get a first down.
2nd and 10, ball at the Tiger 21-yard line. 8 minutes, 8 seconds remaining in the third quarter. They will bring Andrew in motion to the near side.
Again.
Peters backs the pass. Nice pickup by Derek Tennant. And that ball is going to be incomplete. He was looking for Matt Moore. Pressure came. Looked like coming in was Stephen Chikari, a 6'3", 310-pound senior defensive lineman. And Andrew might have even gotten his hand hit as he released the ball, but it'll fall incomplete, 3rd down and 10.
Well, I think you saw it. I mean, they always try to disguise blitzes, but that time they didn't do a very good job, and you could see it coming. When we ran the man across the field and they followed him across, that tells you they're man-to-man coverage, and he would have had Matt Moore had he had a little bit more time, but they put enough pressure on him to force the pass away a little bit.
Clay Blackston works a slot, but they set up the screen to Matt Moore, and Moore's going to be picked off by the umpire. And a little unfortunate there, because if Matt could have just turned it straight up the field, he might have had the first down. Unfortunately, the umpire was right in his way. Credit him for the tackle, because it's going to make it 4th down and about 4 with the ball at the 15.
Well, nice little call. They've been pressuring Brandon here a little bit. They ran the middle screen. Quite honestly, it was a play that always scared me as a head coach. But, they got away with it. It would have been set up had he not run into the umpire.
A 32-yard field goal for Sam Perino. Drew Shayatovich to hold, and it's a fake. Shayatovich, he has Matt Moore at the 15, and Moore is going to be shy of the first down. He needed to get to the 10, and he was brought down. Michael Kinder, on a nice play by the Tigers, was able to bring big Matt Moore down as the Orioles pull the old fake field goal out of their bag of tricks. They get a nice pass from Drew Shayatovich to Matt Moore, but it's snuffed out, and the Tigers will take over at their own 15.
Well, that's one of those plays you don't pull out very often. You got to get a look. You practice it enough. You got to try it, and that was, not a bad situation to try it. They almost pulled it off. Unfortunately for Avon, Fishers defended it very well.
Well, the fortunate thing for the Orioles with a 15-point lead, they took off a big chunk of clock on this opening drive that started at their own 5-yard line, and now the Tigers take over with 7:17 left to go in this third quarter. Tigers motion as the play clock winds down. Eaton will give it off, and breaking through, I believe, is Campbell up to about the 20-yard line. They pick up a 5 yards. It'll bring up 2nd and 5. So the first drive of the second half for the Tigers is a 5-yard run by Maurice Campbell as we go under 7 minutes left to play in the third quarter. Avon with a 29-14 lead. Alongside Dave Shelbourne, I'm Brian Scott. Zach Eaton in the offense back out on the field for the Tigers.
Yeah, Avon just needs to be real patient here, play good solid football, tackle the ball carrier when he gets there, and just don't give up the big play.
Here is a give. Campbell looks for room on the near side, and he's going to be brought down after a pickup of a few yards. Matt Thompson once again on the tackle, but it's a first down for Fishers.
Yeah, and again, nice tackle upfield. Unfortunately, again, I've mentioned before, what Avon failed to do that time was contain. They've got to get somebody. There's always somebody in every defense that's assigned to get upfield and turn that play back in. They didn't get it done that time. They kept the gain minimum, but they still did allow him to get to the outside.
Fishers just basically going big here as Eaton will bend under center. Play action pass. He'll roll out, and he's going to run into Rashawn Brent, but he eludes Brent, and Zach Eaton is going to get some nice yards. How he eluded Rashawn Brent in the backfield, I don't know, but Matt Thompson ends up making the tackle, but not before Zach Eaton is going to pick up very close to a Tiger first down.
Yeah, that cost us 15 yards. That was a great run because we sure had him. We had a great call by Coach Bombi. We had him exactly where we wanted. They tried to run that little naked play again where they faked the run to the left. The quarterback came out unprotected. We had somebody there. He just made a miss.
So 1st and 10 for the Tigers. Under 6 minutes left to play in the third quarter. Here is Campbell. Makes a nice cut, and he's going to be brought down once again by Matt Thompson. Matt slid over and was able to bring Campbell down, but not before the big senior tailback for the Tigers picks up 6 yards up to the 43-yard line.
You know, they have a nice little drive here, but I'm fine with this. You know, we're making them take time off the clock. They're nickel and diamond. You know, as long as we get things straightened up, somewhere along the lines here, they're going to make an error. We're going to make a big play. They're going to have a penalty, and we're going to be fine. We just have to guard against the big play.
They bring Mason Davis as a fullback, and the give is to Campbell, who eludes one man and then ends up going backwards. Joe Belden will finally finish him off, as coming in to make the initial contact was Thomas Williams.
They can't. That's a bad spot. He didn't get to that point, get driven back. He ran back. He ran back 3 yards. I don't think that's a very good spot.
You're given forward progress, but when the runner elects to go back on his own, as Campbell did there, then it's back where he was brought down, and it's a very, very generous spot by the officials. And they're going to bring the chains in from the far side. Coach Mark Bless also asking the same question, that if Campbell went back of his own volition, then that ball should be spotted back about 2 yards.
This is when we need to go under the hood at the high school level, let them re-examine that and get it fixed out here on the field.
It is a first down for the Tigers, so they get the benefit of a very generous spot, and they'll keep the drive going 1st and 10 at their own 47-yard line. 4 minutes, 53 seconds remain in this third quarter. Orioles up by 15, 29-14, as the clock now winds. Coming over to the near side is Noah Smith, I believe, but they'll go offset eye to the left as Zach Eaton has stayed under center. Play action pass. He looks. He's getting pressure. He's going to throw this one away as he was looking over here on the near side. The pass was intended for Cade Orris, as the Tigers had been pretty much going. They did a lot of shotgun throughout most of the first half. This drive has seen Zach Eaton stay under his center, Matt Halfley, for this entire drive, but now he's going to drop back in the gun.
Yeah, man-to-man coverage that time. Laxkins and Thompson just had their men bottled up. He had no place to throw. He wisely threw it away.
2 wideouts to the near side. Orioles show blitz. They back out. They'll swing it out to the near side, and Gabe Laxton is going to blow this one up as Simeon Foster got the quick little pass out to the near side, and Laxton's read it the whole way and drops Foster for a loss back into the 44-yard line, where it will be 3rd and 13.
Well, Gabe has big-time ability. I know he's had some schools talking to him. I think you mentioned he's 6'4". He's a big kid. He can flat-out run. He's got athletic ability. You know, in addition to that, off the field, he's a good, solid kid. He's a good kid in the locker room. You know, he helps out those younger players. So it's nice to see him make those kind of plays on the field.
Big 3rd down and 13. Ball at the Tiger 44-yard line. Clock winds, 3:46. Here comes the pressure. Eaton will roll to his right. He's being pursued, and he's just going to throw this ball well away. And that did not get past the line of scrimmage. This is going to be intentional grounding. We'll wait to see what the penalty flag, but it looked like Eaton just trying to throw it away, never got it to the line of scrimmage, and it is intentional grounding against the Tiger quarterback.
Intentional grounding call.
So a big stop by the defense is going to be helped out by the intentional grounding call as well. And the Tigers are going to be forced to punt.
From 15 yards further back. Let's lost it down.
They'll spot the ball at the 35-yard line of Fishers, and a big play by this Orioles defense, who has held a team that has scored on average 44 points the past couple of games. Right now, the 6th-ranked Tigers only with 14 on the board, and an Oriole defense that has been stout and taking advantage of some big defensive plays. Back deep is Braden Luce and Andrew Griffin. They'll put their toes at about the 20 to the 15.
See if you can find Nick Hanlon here. See if we can get another block.
Handlin has blocked one, but we also saw what kind of leg Josh Lloyd has. Is on that safety free kick. He boomed one about 60 yards in the air. He has his feet at about the 23. So Lloyd waits for the snap, and a little bit of a rugby style. He gets another good kick. This will be taken by Griffin. He fumbles it. picks it back up, eludes one man, tries to reverse direction, and he gets a nice block. Joe Belden just absolutely leveled a Tiger. Andrew was able to get a couple of more yards out of that, but not much more than that, and the Orioles will take over 1st and 10 from about their own 31-yard line.
Yeah, more importantly, we hung on to the football. You know, right now it's just a matter of playing smart, continuing to play hard. We don't want to let Fishers get back in the game. You know, and right now we've dominated play. Another drive here and score would really look good.
So 1st and 10 for Avon at their own 31-yard line. 3 wideouts to the near side. Peters will work out of the gun. Brandon back to pass. Steps up in the pocket, eludes one man. Now he'll take it up and run, and he'll finally be tripped up, and he'll pick up a couple of yards. And again, Peters' elusiveness turns something out of nothing, and he'll pick up a couple of yards in the process.
And more importantly, he made a wise decision. You know, it's a well-designed pass route that Fishers just happened to play extremely well. Instead of trying to force the ball, losing the ball, he took it upfield. He ended up picking up a couple of yards, but more importantly, he made a great mental decision.
Orioles have another mismatch with Laxton's on the far sideline. They line up 2 wide receivers to the near side, but the give is to Derek Tennant. Tennant cuts it around, and he will pick up maybe a couple of yards as before coming in to make the tackle from that far side, I believe, was Kevin Tribble. It's a pickup of 2 to the 35-yard line. It'll be 3rd down and 6 for the Orioles. Clock moves, 2:24 left to go 3rd quarter. Avon remains up by 15 at 29-14. So a big 3rd down here for the Orioles. For the Fishers defense, they want to get the Orioles off the field, but Avon looking for another one of the big plays. Griffin and loose to the near side, Laxton's to the far side. Darian Love now the tailback. Back to pass is Brandon. Brandon, pressure from behind, and he is sacked. Coming in to make the play, and we've called his name quite a lot tonight, was Joel Wilcox, a 6'2", 205-pound senior defensive end, as Brandon was trying to let the routes develop down the field, and time ran out for the Oriole quarterback, and he's brought down for a loss back to the 32.
Yeah, that was really a covered sack. I mean, our offensive line didn't do a bad job, and for one of the few times tonight also, Fishers did a better job of keeping Brandon inside, and that's, you know, they just proved why you have to do that. If you let him get outside, you know, he's very tough, but they kept him inside, and he didn't get as much.
Brendan Tungate and I believe R.J. Potts back deep to receive Alex Steffen's punt. Alex will punt this ball away from about the 21, and he gets a high kick. And a fair catch will be called for and taken at the 39-yard line. And the Tigers, with 1:02 left to go in this 3rd quarter, they trail Avon 29-14, and they'll have the ball back on offense. They had the ball to begin their first drive of the second half, all the way back on their 5-yard line, or no, back on their 15-yard line, and eventually had to punt the ball away after an intentional grounding and a good Avon defensive stop forced the punt. And now at the 38-yard line is where Zach Eaton will set up shop. So Eaton with Campbell, the lone tailback, 2 wideouts to the near side. They will once again go with a jumbo set. 4 down linemen for Avon. Eaton pointing out the linebackers. Snap the ball, gives it to Campbell. Ball is loose, and the ball is still loose, and the Orioles come away with it. And coming away with the football for the Avon Orioles, Brian Fitzgerald, as I believe Jermaine Huddleston coughed it up for the Tigers. And another turnover is going to give the Orioles exceptional field position in Tiger territory with 55.4 seconds remaining in the 3rd quarter, up by 15. Brian Fitzgerald falls on the football, and Avon has the ball at the Tiger 34-yard line, and 55.4 seconds remaining in this 3rd quarter. Peters in the offense back out onto the field, 3 wides to the near side. Brandon back to pass. They set up the screen, and that time Brandon overthrows a wide-open Derek Tennant. Derek probably could have leaked out a little bit farther, but Brandon ends up overthrowing that ball to bring up 2nd and 10. Brandon will come over to the sideline. He'll get the play. Gabe Laxton's coming in as Cole Riley will head to the sideline. As Andrew Griffin will go to the far side of the field. Laxton's and Breeden loose to the near side. Derek Tennant back in as tailback. As Peters works out of the gun, Matt Morris tight end right. 2nd and 10. Peters on the draw, gives it to Derek. Derek finds a little bit of room right up the middle. He'll take it down to about the 31-yard line, where we'll set up 3rd down in about 7 for Avon as the clock marches down in the 3rd quarter. 34 seconds remain. And the Orioles will have to run a play before this 3rd quarter expires. Cole Riley back into the lineup for Avon. And Riley will come to the near side, and he'll be joined by Andrew Griffin with Breeden Luce going to the far side. Derek Tennant the lone back. 3rd down and about 7 for Avon.
Blitz coming here.
The blitz does come. Brandon back to pass, fires downfield. Andrew Griffin at the 10 and down inside the 5-yard line. A perfect strike. The blitz came, and the Orioles quarterback, Brandon Peters, makes them pay for it by throwing a strike to Andrew Griffin. He was blanketed by Josh Lloyd, and it'll be 1st and goal for Avon when we begin the 4th quarter of play. We're going to switch ends as we begin the 4th quarter. Avon leads Fishers 29-14. Back with the 4th quarter action in just a moment. This is Oriole Football on Audio Sports Online.
Stop in any Brownsburg or Avon McDonald's and try one of their two $2 tasty specials, the jalapeno burger or the triple cheeseburger. McDonald's is a proud supporter of Avon and Brownsburg athletics and is proud to host the McDonald's Hendricks County Sports Show, taped Wednesday nights on location and aired Friday nights before football on 1610 AM XRB and XRBradio.com. McDonald's has 2 locations in Brownsburg and Avon. In Brownsburg, they are located at the corner of Main and Odell next to Marsh and just off Green Street next to I-74. In Avon, you can find them at the corner of 267 and 36 next to Kroger or on Rockville Road next to Meyer. Stop in either Brownsburg or Avon McDonald's for their $2 tasty specials, the jalapeno burger or the triple cheeseburger today.
So far, it has been a very happy homecoming here for the Avon faithful. As we begin the 4th quarter, the Orioles ranked 14th in the state this week. They lead the 6th-ranked Fishers Tigers by the score of
Southport
29-14, as coach is motioning that Southport is losing tonight. And right now, as we mentioned, all of the Hoosier Crossroads Conference is hoping that Avon can hold on to this lead. And right now, they're in prime position to extend this lead as they have it 1st and goal from the Tiger 3-yard line as we begin the 4th quarter of play with Avon up 29-14. They will move Mad Moore over to the left side. Breeden Luce is the wide receiver to the near side. Peters gives it to Tennant. Tennant around the left side, and from 3 yards out, Derek Tennant hits pay dirt, and the Orioles strike again on another Tiger turnover, and they lead 35-14.
Just a dominant performance tonight. I mean, this just tells you what emotion can play into it, and it's one of those things as coaches you certainly try to create it and chemistry, but you can just tell the difference. Our kids are playing so well. They're playing confidently. They're just doing all the things that they're capable of doing, and it sure is a beautiful thing to see.
Sam Perino, high snap, but a great job by Drew Shayatovich to get it down. And the point after is good, and with 11:55 left to go in the 4th quarter, it's all Avon. They lead Fishers 35-14. Back with a kick in a moment. This is Oriole Football on ASO.
Reynolds Body Shop is a proud sponsor of Avon Football broadcast. They are conveniently located at 4325 West Washington Street in Indianapolis, just 4 stoplights east of 465. Their phone is 317-243-2372, and they are open Monday through Friday from 7:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Reynolds has been family-owned and operated for 30 years, specializing in collision repair. Reynolds Body Shop is also an insurance work specialist. Learn more about them on the web at www.reynoldsbodyshop.com.
Derek Tennant's 3-yard scamper increases the Oriole lead. They lead 36-14 with 11:55 left to go in this game as Sam Perino is set to kick this one away. And he puts a charge into it, and it'll be fielded at the 5 to the 10, 15, 20, 25. Maurice Campbell will take it all the way up to about the 33-yard line, as right now the Tigers looking for any type of spark. He's now running back kicks. And, Coach, the Tigers, they've been victimized by their turnovers, but credit the Orioles. They've made the Tigers pay for those turnovers by turning them into points.
Avon's done everything they were supposed to do. In fact, I meant to mention, now that I have a chance, the long passing play from Brandon Peters to Andrew Griffin. That's one of those plays they're going to get a lot of credit. But, I called before the play. They had the blitz on. Avon picked it up cleanly. So, Coach Johnson, his offensive lineman, the back pickup gave him plenty of time to find the open receiver and make the big play.
Eaton's pass is to the near side. It is incomplete. Looking over here to the near side for Evan Long. Drew Shayatovich there in coverage. It bounces on the turf. It'll be incomplete. 2nd and 10 for Tigers.
Well, this is a great place to be. This is not Fisher's strength. They're used to playing in front. They're a zone running team that play action passes. They're not a team that's used to being 3 scores behind. It's going to have to play catch up here in a hurry. And last year when they had Jay Sean Harris, maybe they could get away with it. Not that they don't have good receivers now, but I don't know that they have anybody of his quality out there.
Eaton finds Campbell as he leaks out of the backfield, and he runs hard, still running, and he'll finally be taken down at the midfield stripe on a nice gain, a pickup of about 16 yards on the play, and the Tigers will have it 1st and 10 at the midfield stripe with 11:32 left to play in the football game.
But I like the way the Avon defenders are running to the ball. You mentioned that was 20, 30 yards down the field, and we still had Avon players that were changing direction and hustling to get downfield and see if they can make something happen.
3 wide receivers in the package as Eaton back to pass. He'll throw. He's looking deep downfield. Pass is incomplete. He was looking over on that far sideline for Jordan Hernandez. Nick Hanlon in coverage, and that pass was too long. Eaton has an arm. He has started to show it off more. They didn't showcase too much of him in the early part of this season, but as the season has progressed, Rick Wimmer has started to let Eaton throw it down the field, and he does show that he has an arm. That one's a little too long, and it'll bring up 2nd and 10. 3 wideouts, 2 to the near side, 1 to the far side. Campbell the lone back. And on the delay, this is actually Huddleston. Huddleston will take it right up the middle and make a nice run as he is finally brought down, tackled by Matt Thompson after a pickup of about 7-8 yards on the play into Oriole territory at the 42-yard line.
Yeah, I'm sure Coach Wimmer's game plan wasn't to come in here and throw the ball 30 to 40 times tonight. So, we've got them in a situation that they're not comfortable with, and not that they're not capable of doing it. It's just not their strength.
And, of course, that last touchdown for Avon, very important. Fishers does have some quick strike capability, but now instead of being down 2 scores, as this play will go nowhere on the illegal procedure penalty, it's a lot different being down only 2 scores than it is to being down 3.
Well, and this is where mentally, that's a mental error right there. That's a concentration error. We have Fishers out of their comfort zone right now. They're not used to being behind. And I won't say they're panicking, but they're not comfortable at the same time. They're in a situation that they hope they can do well, but I don't think they're comfortable that they can score 3 times on a real solid Avon football defense here in the last 10 minutes.
3rd and 7 now for the Tigers as Eaton will give it to Campbell, and Campbell is going to pick up a few yards, and that is all. But right now with the time remaining in the game, I'm sure Coach Wimmer, everything is now 4-down territory. It'll be 4th down and 5 at the Oriole 45-yard line, or just inside the 45-yard line.
Well, they're playing right into our hand here right now. They're down 3 scores. I mean, I'm not sure that they can be real patient at this time. It's not like they're down by 1 or 10. They're down by 3 touchdowns, and they've got to, whatever trick plays they have, that halfback pass, that Z reverse, that little flea flicker, something's got to click for them if they're going to get back in this game.
Play clock winding down, 2 seconds. They get it off. Eaton looks, fires down the field. He has Simeon Foster. Foster eludes one man, and he's going to be tackled from behind. And we've been saying his name all night. Matt Thompson out of his linebacking position. He managed to chase down big Simeon Foster and bring him down. But a big 4th down conversion for the Tigers keeps the drive alive as they'll take it all the way down to the Oriole 15-yard line.
And it did, and we gave up a bigger play than we wanted to in the first time when we didn't want to, but they're still 15 yards from scoring, and that clock is still running. So, we can still keep them out. We've still got to slow them down and just make plays.
Eaton will bend under center as he has Campbell, the lone tailback, 2 wide outs to the far side, 1 to the near side. And he will quickly fire. Pass is complete. And diving for the end zone and in for the score is Simeon Foster. The big 6'3", 210-pound senior wideout did a nice job to get that football, dive to the end zone, and from about 15 yards out, he has the touchdown as the Tigers get 1 of the 3 scores back.
That we don't want to do, but that's not going to kill us if we can just come out here offensively and move the ball.
And the kick goes off of the upright. Anthony Beck's point after hits the left upright, and the Orioles now catch a break as that will keep it. It'll force the Tigers. They are down by 16, so they're going to need 2 touchdowns and a pair of 2-point conversions just to tie the game, and that helps out the Orioles. They missed a point after earlier in this contest. That evens it up, so a 16-point Avon lead with 9 minutes and 6 seconds left. And now we'll see what Coach Rick Wimmer and the Fishers Tigers like to do on the kickoff. So Simeon Foster is on the receiving end of a 15-yard Zach Eaton touchdown pass. The extra point is no good. And with 9 minutes and 6 seconds, the Orioles are going to look to see if they can get the football back, but they look like they're going to bring the hands team in, expecting a possible onside kick.
Well, that touchdown certainly makes it more interesting, but again, the Avon offense can come right out right now on this next series and take the wind out of their sails by hanging on to the football, taking some time off the clock, and eventually putting some points on the board.
There's not an Oriole that's not up close, and they'll kick it deep with nobody back deep, and this one is going to go in the end zone. So Avon had everybody up, thinking the Tigers may try the onside kick, but Coach Rick Wimmer elects to kick it deep, and Avon will start this drive 1st and 10 from their own 20-yard line with 9 minutes and 6 seconds remaining to go in the football game. Alongside Dave Shelbourne, I'm Brian Scott. 36-20 is our score as the 14th-ranked Orioles try to hold on and knock off the 6th-ranked Tigers.
You don't want to shut things down here offensively, but you do want to be smart. We still want to make first downs. You still have to get the ball in the hands of your big play players.
Back to passes. Peters pump fake, fires downfield, looking for Andrew Griffin, and just long. Griffin had the defender beat, as running with Griffin was Josh Lloyd. He's in for starter Jeremy Chin, who was unavailable to play tonight.
Sitting there with Jake Thompson from the Flyer, we both commented, I like that call. That tells Fishers we're not shutting it down. It's also one of those plays that if it's there, we'll take the 7, and if it's not there, we can safely throw it away. So kind of a statement play as much as anything else.
2nd and 10 for Peters in the offense. Here's the give. Love on the keeper straight up the middle, and he's going to pick up a few yards, but it's going to bring up 3rd down now for the Orioles. Clock moves. We're under 9 minutes left to go in this fourth quarter. Orioles lead 36-20, but they'll face a big third down, and they're only going to give Darien about a couple of yards. Let's call it third down and 8.
Yeah, same situation there. First down would be great, but you know what? We can punt, play good field position, let our defense do their job. They still have to score twice with two pointers. What we don't want to do here is give up the ball.
Peters back to pass. Looks, fires near side. Andrew Griffin, pass is complete. He'll take it up the sideline, and Lloyd is able to make what could be a touchdown saving tackle as Andrew got just beyond the sticks, parked it. Andrew found him, and then Brandon found him, and Andrew got yards after the catch all the way up to the Oriole 43-yard line.
Well, that's a gutsy and confident call by offensive coordinator Eric Moore. That's one of those, if you don't have Brandon Peters throwing that out route, that's if you think negatively, that's an easy one to pick off and go in the other direction. But he showed great confidence, and his two great athletes, and they picked up the first down.
Darian Love looks for some room around the short side of the field. He won't find it. He's going to lose yards on that play. Is coming in and making the tackle is again Josh Lloyd for the Tigers. It's a loss of a yard on the play. They move Matt Moore in motion to the near side and tried to run the around the end here to the near side. Not a whole lot of room, and the Tigers snuffed it out.
And that clock continues to run. We're down now to a little under 7.5 minutes. It's still, second down, so we're going to run a few more off, and we've got the ability to hit a home run anytime on a run or a pass.
Rightly and loose to the far side. Griffin to the near side. Tigers show blitz, and they're going to be called for the encroachment once again. So second and 11 is going to turn into second down and 6, and that gives the Orioles a few more options to put in the playbook.
Well, again, that's a little bit of that panic mentality. We're down 2 scores. We're not used to being here. I've got to make something happen. You lose your discipline here just a little bit and jump off sides, and now that second and 12 turns into second and 7, and that makes your play calling a little bit easier.
Ball is at the 46-yard line. Here's a give to Darian Love. Finds a hole, cuts through to the 45, and down to the 42-yard line. First down for the Avon Orioles as they move into Tiger territory. Fine run by Darian Love.
It was a fine run, but the offensive line continues to grow with confidence as the game comes on. Early in the game, we struggled a little bit to get back to the line of scrimmage, and Brandon was running for his life a little bit on passes, but he hasn't been pressured here for 3 quarters, and our offensive line is starting to click and handle the line of scrimmage and allow Darian and Love and Derek Tennant to, pick up some running yardage.
Play clock winds down 5, but they get it off. Darian Love finds no hole whatsoever as he's going to be swallowed up as he's going to be tackled. I believe Trent Nielsen came in to make the tackle along with a few other Fisher's Tigers.
Well, Fisher's is to a point in the game that, they're blitzing on every play, and, it's what you have to do defensively, but sooner or later we're going to hit them with a big one. We're either going to pop it at the line of scrimmage or, they're going to come up with some kind of a safe pass and get it out to the outside or hit a receiver on a slant route. Because right now they're bringing a house on every play, and I know the Avon coaches see that, and they'll come up with something to counter that.
Second and 11, they'll bring Griffin in motion to the near side as they give it to Derek Tennant. Tennant looks for some room around the right side. He'll pick up a few yards before he's brought down by Stephen Chikari. It's a pickup of, let's just say 2 yards down to the 40-yard line. It'll be third down and 9.
And we're down now under 5.5 minutes. So, the big thing that Avon wanted to do here right now is take some time off the clock. They're mixing things up. They've got great field position. So, even if they end up having to punt here, Fishers is going to have to go a long way in a short period of time. So I think they're playing it real smart here.
So the clock does move as Peters takes the snap on this 3rd and 9. Drops back, fires pass in and out of the hands of Andrew Griffin. The pass was a little low, and Andrew bobbled it, and it finally falls to the turf as Trent Nielsen was the linebacker in coverage, and Braden Luce is hobbling a little bit over toward the sideline, but he's up and under his own power. It'll bring 4th down and 9, and they will send the punt team out.
nice route. You know, with the blitz, you're going to see a lot of man-to-man. The crossing routes are always difficult for defenders to cover when you've got quality receivers crossing and running across the field. So, you know, good call. Just mixed up a little bit there on the completion.
Brendan Tungate is going to drop back as Alex Steffen will stand at his own 46. And he will get a nice high kick that will bounce and go sideways. Take a nice Avon bounce. And this one's going to be down right there at the 1-yard line. So the Fishers Tigers, they're down by 16 points. And they're going to start this drive at the 1.
Well, that situation couldn't have turned out any better. Great offensive series for Avon. They took some time off the clock. They also changed the picture of the field position. Fishers has got to go 99 yards here, get the ball back, and then do it all over again. So the clock is starting to work in Avon's favor. But the biggest thing that I like right now is they're still attacking. They attacked on offense, but did it in a very safe way. And defensively, I'm sure we're going to tee it up and get after it.
They're going to go with a jumbo package, high backfield. As Tigers have already had one safety. Zach Eaton trying to get a few extra yards, maybe drawing Avon off sides, and Eaton is just going to plow right over his center to gain a few yards. Matt Halfley, a 5'11", 236-pound senior center for the Tigers, and Eaton will give them a little bit of breathing room as they will push it out to about the 4-yard line and bring up 2nd and 6, or 2nd and 7.
I don't know how much they practice it because they sure don't intend to be in it, but Fishers needs to be in a hurry-up, no-huddle offense here because they're running out of time. They're down to 4 minutes. They're huddling up. They're shuffling players in the game. They're still shifting here occasionally, and, you know, at this pace, it just really helps Avon.
Coach Rick Wimmer with all 3 of his timeouts remaining, but the clock moves as we approach the 4-minute mark. Eaton back to pass. He will fire it deep, looking, and it passes incomplete. Gabe Laxton's in coverage as they were going to the far side. They were looking for Noah Rogers, a 6'2", 272-pound junior wideout. Pass is incomplete. That'll bring up 3rd and 7 with 4 minutes left to go on the clock, and Avon up 16. Ball remains at the 4-yard line of the Tigers. This was after a fine Alex Steffen punt that was down at the Tiger 1. And now Fishers needs to get 7 yards just to continue this drive. As they break the huddle, they will send Rogers out to the far side. 2 wideouts to the far side. Double tight end. Eaton works out of the gun. He'll roll out to the left. Pressure comes, and he will throw it downfield. And a penalty flag flies in. Looking over the far side, I believe they were looking for Noah Rogers. Gabe Laxton's in coverage, and they're going to have a holding penalty. I believe it's going to be called against Avon. Defensive holding. As the Tiger is down on the far side. So the penalty will definitely give the Tigers a first down, but they're going to check on a Tiger that is down, and I think that is Noah Rogers who was down. So while they have an injury timeout, we'll take a timeout as well. 3:55 left to go in this 4th quarter. Avon up by 16. This is Oriole football on ASO.
McNamara Florist is Indy's hometown florist since 1954, with 8 convenient locations, including the new Avon store on Rockville Road. McNamara Florist is famous for our floral designs for all occasions that help our clients express their emotions through flowers. Visit McNamara Florist for outstanding personal service and to select from the renowned home decor merchandising, including stunning Christmas classics. McNamara Florist is located at 9655 East Highway 36 in Avon, and you can give them a call at 579-7900.
It was not Noah Rogers. It was Gabe Laxton from Avon that was down. Thanks to Jake Thompson from the Hendricks County Flyer for checking that out for us. But Gabe comes over to the sideline under his own power. Looks like he might be okay. We've seen a couple of Orioles that might be getting some cramps. Braden Luce on that last offensive possession was getting stretched out. Now Gabe is being stretched out here on the near side. 1st and 10 for the Tigers at their own 13-yard line. 3:55 remains as Eaton back to pass, and he goes down. Rashawn Brent put a paw up there, and also coming in, A.J. Elcock came in to make the first hit, and Rashawn came in to finish off Eaton. It's a loss back to the Tiger 9-yard line.
A couple of scores from the conference here. Hamilton Southeastern 35, Zionsville 7, Westfield 28, Brownsburg nothing, and Chittard is still beating Noblesville 24-14.
So Coach Brett Comer's Bulldogs, after the big win against Avon, has fallen on a few tough times. Here's a pass to Rogers on the far side. He's going to take it up to about the 20-yard line, but that is all before he is tackled right there. And Andrew Griffin and Matt Thompson. And as Coach mentioned, Matt Thompson sitting there playing with a cast on his right hand, but all we've done is call his name all night long. We're under 3 minutes left to play in this football game. Avon up by 16, and the Tigers need 4 yards to continue this drive. Eaton back to pass. He eludes one man. He's going to be brought down. Rashawn Brent tackled him, but not before Eaton picked up the first down. Needed 3, got 4. And while it extends the drive for the Tigers, the clock continues to just wind down. Fisher still with all 3 of their timeouts, but they're trailing by 16, and the clock winds at 2:35. 1st and 10, Fishers with the ball spotted at the 24-yard line. Eaton out of the gun, takes the snap, fires over the left side, passes incomplete. Noah Rogers on the far side. I think he was expecting Rogers to button hook back right beyond the sticks and go out of bounds, but Rogers continued down the field, and it goes incomplete. So bring up 2nd and 10 for the Tigers. 2:23 remains in this football game, and Avon still leading 36-20. Alongside Dave Shelbourne, I'm Brian Scott. Homecoming night here at Hendricks Regional Health Stadium, and so far, home crowd has had a lot to cheer about tonight. Eaton back to pass on this 2nd down, and he will get it out, falling down to Campbell. Campbell makes some men miss, still running, and Rashawn Brent pursuing all the way. As he was in the backfield pressuring Zach Eaton, he ends up making the tackle on Maurice Campbell at the 39-yard line.
And Gabe Laxkins just went back in the game, so that, have the Avon fans breathing a lot easier.
Laxton's looked like it had been nothing more than a cramp, but he is back out on the field. 1st and 10 for the Tigers as we approach the 2-minute mark. Eaton scrambling for his life right now, looking, he'll throw this one away. And great coverage, and it has been that way all night. Avon's given up a few passes, but for the most part, the secondary for the Orioles has been strong, but a penalty flag is on the play. So the officials will straighten this out, and we have a hold against Avon. So another defensive holding penalty called against the Oriole defense, and that's going to move the Tigers up to about the 49-yard line where they'll have it 1st and 10. But the clock now under 2 minutes left to go in this football game.
Yeah, that's not a penalty you want, but if it prevents a big score, you take 15 yards anytime.
Here comes the pressure. They get it to Campbell. Campbell takes it right up the middle, and he will be brought down. Nick Handlin makes a fine tackle because Campbell, as Coach said earlier, he's got that extra gear, and he was putting it in high right there, but Nick Handlin makes a fine tackle, and he'll stop Campbell at the 41.
Great open field tackle. It was a long game, but it prevented a touchdown.
1st and 10 for the Tigers, 1:44. Eaton back to pass. Looks, he'll fire out to Campbell at the 40, and Campbell will be brought down rather rudely as we've said, Matt Thompson making the tackle, and probably the best thing for the Orioles there, Campbell lost his helmet during that exchange, so he'll have to go out.
And he got tackled inbound, so the clock is still running.
1:32. A little surprised Coach Wimmer not using any timeouts here, but he's down by 16. Here's a penalty flag. That's going to be likely a holding penalty that's going to push the Tigers back as Eaton's pass to the far sideline is incomplete. Minute 24 left to go. And it is a hold against the Tigers. And Coach Mark Bless is saying push them back. Ball currently at the 34-yard line. And they will push the Tigers back from the spot of the foul. And this will be a big penalty.
Well, what a great night for homecoming. We mentioned all the festivities. It's been a great week in school. You know, this is a game that I think the majority of the people would have picked Fishers, and Avon has just really dominated play, I'd say, from probably the start of the second quarter on. The last three quarters have been all Avon. They've outplayed an outstanding Fishers team, and, you know, right now it's just a matter of the clock running out.
So second down and about 19 to go. Eaton back to pass, fires over the far side, and it's a hook and ladder. Here's Campbell down the far sideline, and he is going to take it to the house. The pass was complete, I believe, to Noah Rogers. They had Campbell trailing the play.
Well, this is a huge extra point right here, because if they don't get this, it really doesn't matter too much. So, you know, what they need to do here right now is recoup, get their heads back in the game, make sure they've got everything covered here. You know, I was a little bit surprised that they hadn't gone to something like this earlier. It was the only chance they had. They waited till they were down here to almost a minute, pulled it out, and, you know, it at least makes the game a little bit more exciting. But if we can stop this two-pointer here, it's really all for naught.
And Avon is going to call a timeout on this 2-point. And as Coach said, this really is the difference between the Tigers needing one touchdown and another 2 points to tie, or having to get two scores, a touchdown and a field goal. And with a minute 15, I would like the Orioles' chances with that. But this is a big 2-point conversion. Again, Tigers score on a hook and ladder. I believe it was Noah Rogers that caught the pass on the far sideline. They had Maurice Campbell trailing the play. Rogers stopped, pitched it back, and Campbell's put it in that high gear and took it the rest of the way. A big play. But right now, this might even be bigger if you're an Avon Oriole fan. If they can stop the Tigers from converting the 2 points, and this game might be all but over. But right now, everybody's still holding their breath. The students are right here down. They've been waiting to get onto the field for the past couple of minutes. But this game has gotten interesting here with the final couple of minutes. Eaton out of the gun. He will drop back to pass. He looks. Pressure comes. He eludes one man. He shovel pass, and it's broken up. Incomplete. Gabe Laxton's broke it up. Eaton with a nice bit of elusiveness, and then he tried to just shovel it forward, but right there was Gabe Laxton's to knock it down, and now it's a 10-point game with a minute 15 left to go.
Great pressure by the Avon front. You know, they're in man-to-man. They know they're going to, you know, run a little pick routes, you know, the little crossing routes, that type of thing, to see if they can get somebody open. Pressure to a quarterback just kind of eliminates all that, and they put tons of pressure on him. He couldn't find the open receiver, and, you know, at the last minute he just shoveled it in there and hoped for a big play that he didn't get. So that play should do it. I'm sure they'll onside kick here and try to make it as exciting, but hats off to Avon for playing a great game from start to finish. All phases of the game. The defense come in with the big plays when they needed to. The plays in the special teams and the offense did a great job of balancing up the run and the pass. You know, to put up 36 points on a team as solid as Fishers, I think is a great thing for Avon. And, you know, you want your team playing at their best at this time of year, and we certainly are.
Now comes the obligatory onside kick, as this time Anthony Beck will tee it up at the 40, and he's going to try to kick it to the left. Gets a bounce, and it will be falling. The ball's loose. The ball is loose, and let's see who comes away with it. Avon says they have it, as Matt Moore points the other way, and the Tigers are dejectedly walking toward their sideline as the official points that it is Avon ball, and they'll have it 1st and 10 at the 40. I think they're spotted at the 46-yard line. The Tigers have all 3 timeouts remaining, and a minute 12 remains in this football game. So they'll spot the ball at the 46-yard line with a minute 12 remaining. So let's see what Avon does. Again, the Tigers with all 3 of their timeouts remaining. Peters is going to stay in the gun. He's got Derek Tennant in the backfield. And they give us to Derek. He looks for some room, cuts it to the right side to the 50.
Stay in bounds, stay in bounds.
And he'll be pushed out of bounds by Josh Lloyd. Clock stops with a minute 4 left to go in this football game, but the Orioles, Derek Tennant picks up about 9 yards on that play. They're going to spot the ball at the 46-yard line of the Tigers, so credit Derek with an 8-yard run. It'll bring up 2nd down and 2 with the clock stopped at a minute 4. Again, the students are right here underneath us. They've been down here for about 4 or 5 minutes just waiting to rush onto the field as soon as this game is over with. A big, big win for the Orioles. As here's Tennant, he'll take it right up the middle, and he's going to be very close to a first down, but looking where the officials are spotting it, he's going to be about a half a yard short.
At this point, I'm not sure it matters.
Nope, as they stop the clock to check. And the Tigers are going to call the first of their 3 timeouts. So 1 minute left. A win tonight is very, very big for the obvious reasons, knocking off the 6th-ranked team in the state. But it does also give the Avon Orioles control of their own destiny in the Hoosier Crossroads Conference title chase. That means all of the top teams in the HCC will have 1 loss. Avon still with some big games left to play. They have to play Westfield, they have to play Noblesville, and they will also have a big game with Zionsville. But next week will be a big, big game as well, as Westfield was having no problems with Brownsburg tonight. Matter of fact, last time Coach said 28-0 as they have shut down the Bulldogs. Brandon Peters is just going to plow ahead for the first down. And I would probably be surprised if Rick Wimmer elects to use any more timeouts. Down by 10 with 57.7 seconds. And now we'll see if the Tigers elect to call timeout. And I don't believe Coach Rick Wimmer will. So the Tigers still control their own destiny, but right now they, instead of being outright HCC champions, since they did not have a loss coming into tonight, the best they might be able to hope for is a tie. But for Avon and a few others in the HCC, things just got interesting all of a sudden in regards to an HCC title as the clock winds down and the play clock is at 0, and we'll see. Avon is elected to take a delay of game as they will have to run a play here. Again, Coach Rick Wimmer not electing to take a timeout as the Tigers will suffer their first loss in the Hoosier Crossroads Conference play, and it will drop them to 4-2 on the season. For Avon, they're going to improve to 4-2 on the season. They will have a 2-1 record in the Hoosier Crossroads Conference, and they're going to have a big game next week at Westfield. Both teams will have only 1 loss as the clock winds down, and that will be the final play of this game. It was a game of big plays. It was the Avon Orioles making most of those big plays. They took advantage of some very costly Fisher Tigers turnovers. The Tigers made it a little interesting late, but in all, the Avon Orioles dominated this game for the most part ever since the second quarter. And, Coach, they are going to it's going to be a very, very happy Avon Oriole team as they come in on homecoming and knock off a very good Fishers team 36-26.
Well, and the way they did it is what's going to make them happy. They did it by just playing great football. This is as good a game as they played all year. They handled things up front. They mixed things up offensively. They made big plays when they had to. The defense played with a lot of emotion the entire game. You know, this was one of those games I didn't see them really taking many plays off. They were in a game physically and mentally. I thought the coaches did a good job in preparation to get them ready. this is an outstanding Fishers football team, and they didn't look as good tonight, but they didn't look as good tonight because Avon just did a great job. I mean, Avon came out and just totally took them out of the game. They came in here wanting to run the football, and after a little bit, of success early, we took that away. They forced their new quarterback to throw the ball, and offensively, I won't say we toyed with them, but we didn't have a whole lot of trouble moving the football. Brandon Peters, obviously, just an outstanding quarterback, and you have to defend him, and by defending him, that leaves some other things open. Andrew continued to make some good catches. The combination of Darian Love and Derek Tennant back there running the football, it does make the Avon offense tough to stop.
Avon Orioles, again, they're going to be now tied toward the top of the Hoosier Crossroads Conference, and they've still got some big games left to play as this season winds down. It'll start next week when the Orioles go on the road. They'll have to take on the Westfield Shamrocks. Westfield, as last we heard, they were having no problem with Brownsburg, so Westfield will move to 3-1 in the HCC. Westfield still has a non-conference game left to play. Avon will improve to 2-1 in the HCC. Noblesville is also going to be 2-1 in conference play, but the Bulldogs look like they're going to go down to their second defeat in the conference. So right now, the two teams that are ahead of Avon, Noblesville, and Westfield, the Orioles still have them yet to play. The Tigers, well, they're going to have to go back and lick their wounds a little bit before they get back on the gridiron next week, but they'll have a non-conference game. They will take on Indianapolis Tech next Friday night. Final score here from Hendricks Regional Health Stadium. Avon Orioles knock off the Fishers Tigers as the 14th-ranked Orioles knock off the 6th-ranked Tigers by the score of 36-26. Make sure you tune in next week. We'll have the pregame show at 6:45 from Westfield, and the kickoff between the Orioles and the Shamrocks set for 7 o'clock. Alongside Dave Shelbourne, I'm Brian Scott. Thanks for joining us for Oriole Football on Audio Sports Online. Don't forget, you can catch a replay of tonight's game beginning tomorrow sometime in the afternoon. We'll have it up there and posted. You can find it on YouTube and, of course, on audiosportsonline.com. Until next week, so long, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in to Avon Varsity Football on Audio Sports Online. Tonight's game has been brought to you by McDonald's, Reynolds Body Shop, McNamara Florist, and Red Cobra Wrestling. Get a free on-demand replay of tonight's game by visiting audiosportsonline.com. Oriole Football is an audiosportsonline.com production.